I mean, I don't think anyone ever really shows up early anyway. I usually, like, am rushing
Yeah.
to, but should we
Yeah.
just I don't do you wanna introduce yourself?
Yeah. So my name is Sarah. I'm from the channel Sarah Lorraine Reads. Um, and yeah, I just do like normal bookish kind of content, basic stuff. That's it.
I mean, I wouldn't say yours is basic because, like, I mean, not so much now, I can't remember. Oh, no, you did a tier ranking recently, right? Those
Mm-hmm.
ones are always fun. I
Oh,
don't
thank
consider
you.
that basic.
Thank you. I honestly, I because of like all of this like Taylor Swift that I've been listening to lately, I was like, I really want to do a tier ranking of like Taylor Swift songs, but like
That'd be
I
so
feel like
difficult.
that would be so hard and it would be like an hour-long video
Yeah,
because there's like 9 albums. I'm
yeah.
like, that would be so much work.
Yeah, there's, like, so many songs, but there's also you can really argue with yourself about it, and
Mhm.
then you come to your final conclusion, you upload the video, and people are gonna be like, "Why did she say that? Why is this there?"
100%. I'm like not trying to get attacked.
It's like it's the one thing that you know for sure if you do it. I mean, luckily we don't have, like, really huge,
Mhm.
like, fan bases or, like, subscriber count
Yeah,
or
yeah.
anything like that, but I could imagine anyone that's, like, got a significant subscriber count, if they did something like that, it would
Oh,
be just
100 like everyone would be canceling them just because they didn't agree with that.
yeah.
But I feel like I love watching things like that though, because it's so interesting, like to see like what songs people feel like really passionately about, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
I
because
love
it's
it.
obviously yeah. And the thing is, it's like there isn't I think maybe her earlier stuff in terms of like, I don't know, saying what's well written and stuff, obviously she's gotten better as time goes on,
Mhm.
that's a natural thing.
Yeah.
But like the vast majority of her songs are well written. They're like good songs objectively.
Yeah.
So you can't really say that one is like at the end of the day, they're all good. It's just a
Yeah.
case of what do people think personally.
100%. Yeah.
Sean is here. Hi, Sean.
Hello.
I'm ready to read as well.
I
I
know.
like never read in the day, and then it gets to the evening, and I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's quite early for you, right? Because it's like early for me, and now we're closer in time zones.
It's 6, so it's not actually that early.
Oh, okay. Wow. So before, were you just like at like 10 o'clock at night, just like
Well,
doing
no,
this?
I think before when you were in Seattle, you were 9 hours behind me, and now you're 7 hours behind me.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like I think usually it starts like 7 or 8 for me because it would start quite
Okay.
early for you, and was
Yeah.
the thing. It was always thinking like, how early
Yeah.
is it going to be for you?
Yeah. The thing is that I'm not like a morning person, but I'm also like not a morning person. So like that's why I think when we did the 24-hour readathon and it was like for 9 a.m. I don't think did I end up doing it at 9 a.m.? I don't know for what, but it was like at 9 a.m. and I was like ready to
Mm,
go.
you did Yeah, I can't remember that because there was I think you did the first, like, live that we did,
Yeah, yeah.
and that was quite early.
Mhm.
I hate time zones, like, I wish there was just a way to eradicate them, but you can't because
They're
the sun
terrible.
this and
It's
then I'm
really
like
quite rude.
yeah. But I feel like in the US, you guys have the best in terms of, like, live shows and stuff like that, because it's
Mhm.
usually the morning for you, whereas for me, if you guys are doing a live show, if someone in the US is doing a live show during the evening for
Mhm.
you, then it's, like, 2 in the morning for me. I'm like, I
Yes.
definitely can't do that.
Yeah, yeah, no, I feel that. I feel like ours is the least like disruptive. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For
Also because
sure.
obviously big country, so it's
Yeah.
like also the fact that the time zones there's more of them for the whole country, but also they're
Mhm.
closer together than like between the US and because there's just that massive gap
Yeah.
that loses a couple of hours.
Yeah, no, it's very annoying.
Yeah, if you say 9 albums, it's Taylor Swift or it's someone that's literally like 90 years old.
Literally.
Like
You know what? That's actually so true because like what other artist is there that has like a million albums and they're like
No,
super
yeah,
young?
because technically, if you take all of, like, the different versions as well, there's more than 9 albums.
Yeah, there's what like 11?
Yeah, but then she's also probably got some kind of, like, live concert
Oh yeah,
albums,
yeah,
all
I
the
know she
different
has
stuff,
like
like, there's so many different.
Yeah, I know. I think Speak Now has like a platinum album. I don't even know what that entails. I don't
No.
know, but I'm ready for to do Speak Now because do you like Speak Now? I forget when we were
Um,
talking about her.
well, in was it in March there was that Taylor Swift themed readathon.
Mhm.
And listened to, because I didn't grow up listening to Speak Now or to Taylor Swift, and not
Mhm.
so much to what was the other one? Fearless. I didn't listen to those three that
Mhm.
much because I was like, I basically started listening to Red first, but
Mhm.
I think I quite liked it. Speak Now, was that the one that had The Story of Us on it, or is that
Mhm.
yeah? Okay, yeah. I think the
Yeah,
third
that
one,
song's a
right?
banger.
Yeah. I actually know that was one of the songs because I listened to the whole album of Red
Mhm.
when it, like, just after it had come out, or like literally just before 1989 came out, because that was the first album like I went out and got,
Mhm.
purposefully trying to listen to it. And but then there was a couple of songs that, like, her, basically the, the radio songs, like
Yeah.
her singles and stuff like that I'd listened to, and I remember Story of Us. I can
Mhm.
remember it vividly. It's so weird thinking about songs when you've listened to them and like being able to see it.
Yeah, I was literally talking to my friend about it and like we were saying that like it's so funny because I feel like it's like specifically Taylor Swift as well, where it's like there's like albums that I can think of and I like vividly remember that like time in my life when I
Yeah,
would listen to it or like certain songs and stuff. And so it's just so interesting. It's so funny,
yeah.
but love it. But I think Speak Now is one of the most underrated albums that she
Okay, fair
has.
enough. Yeah, I
I
like,
I feel like
honestly.
nobody talks about Speak Now, but I'm like, Speak Now, like,
Yeah,
deserves some recognition because there's some bangers on there.
yeah. No, I can. I feel like, because I mean, for me personally, sort of looking back on it, the first three feel very similar to each other, and
Mhm,
that was before she really found the kind of thing that she's got going on, where every album is like this subtle change that you don't really
mhm.
notice, going, like, if you just listen to them all at
Yeah,
once, you don't notice it, but when you then look back at it, like, both physically, stylistically, the way she looked and everything, also the
mhm,
music and stuff like that. But the
mhm.
first three, I guess, is just her finding her footing of, like, um so yeah, Sean agrees with that.
I 100% Enchanted is, like, one of my top 3 all-time favorite Taylor Swift songs. Like, Enchanted is that is that bitch. I love Enchanted with everything in me. And I also
Yeah.
did listen to the 10-minute
Did you
did
watch
you?
did you watch the
I
film?
was just gonna ask you that. Yeah, I
Yeah.
watched it last night. I I love Sadie Sink, like,
Yeah.
so much, and honestly, her and Dylan O'Brien did so good, and also Dylan
Yeah.
O'Brien's just, like, really hot.
Yeah, but okay, this could just be me, but did you
Mhm.
not at first, seeing them together, have this like, "Ugh," like,
No,
that's weird, because I felt
uh,
like that.
no, 100%, but it's because that was the age difference between
Yeah,
Taylor Swift and because I thought
yeah,
the same thing when she had said, like, "All Too Well" short film, and it was like she was teasing it, and I saw it was Dylan O'Brien and Sadie Sink, I was like, "That's gross." I was
yeah,
like, "That's so weird." And then even watching it, like, it felt a little bit icky because, like, he looked
yeah,
so much older than her, and I feel like they even did, like, a good job of, like, him carrying himself a lot older, and, like, she
yeah,
seems very young, like, in the
yeah,
short film also. So I feel like they just did a really good job with that because I was, like, slightly uncomfortable. But it's
yeah,
like
no,
that's
yeah.
literally the age difference between them in real life, which is gross. I
Well,
hate Jake
yeah.
Gyllenhaal.
I mean, I do kind of hope that that was the intention with it, because obviously, like,
Yeah.
Taylor Swift's like, "No, I'm not gonna say, like, what the Easter eggs are, like, who it's about and
Mhm.
stuff like that." It's like, legit, like, you can read it, you can see it,
Everyone is.
you know what it's about. But,
Mhm.
like, I think especially because Sadie Sink is most well known for literally playing, like, a preteen, like a teenager, right?
Yeah.
In Stranger Things, so then seeing her afterwards, in that kind of situation
Mhm.
is, yeah, but I guess at the time people didn't think much of Taylor Swift and,
Yeah.
Jake Gyllenhaal together,
Yeah,
because it's like
it's just
celebrities. It's weird because if it was an everyday couple that was like, if I was with someone that was 30, I would personally think that's weird, so I would never be in that situation.
yeah.
But I feel like if I saw someone that was my age, like clearly my age, and someone that was
Mhm.
clearly 30 together, just on the street, I would find it a bit odd. I would probably presume that they're brother and sister more than anything, or like
Yes,
related in some way.
100%.
Um, but then when it's celebrities, it's like, oh no, it's fine. We love seeing celebrities together. Like, that's great.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, yeah, it's just like because I feel like when you really think about it, like, that's just it's not, yeah, that's not a normal thing. Well, I
Yeah.
mean, it's a thing that shouldn't be normalized, you know what I mean? Because like,
Yeah.
there's no reason for a third like, what does a 30-year-old have in common with a 20-year-old? Nothing.
Yeah. I think
In
there's
the
I think
States,
there are
they
some
can't even drink
people.
alcohol.
Oh,
You
yeah,
know what
good
I
point.
mean? So,
Yeah.
it's like, I feel like in the States, it's an even weirder kind of dynamic because it's like,
Yeah.
what do you do? Hang out at the house because 'cause you're, go to a fucking park? Because sorry, am I allowed to cuss on your channel?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, what are you gonna do? Like, take a walk around the park or something? Because 'Cause I'm like, that's a child, basically, you know what I mean? They
Yeah.
can't even have a beer when you're out, you
Yeah.
know? So, it's just very
No,
strange.
I think there's some, like, for me personally, I don't see it as the age thing because I do think that even, like, I mean, it just depends who you are because I think that there's some
Mhm.
people that even before they turn 18 carry themselves as an adult and, like, act
Mhm.
like an adult and are mature. So I can
Mhm.
see that, but it is just that thing of, like, what's the chances that someone who is 20 is going to be in the same position in their life as someone that's
Mhm.
30? And that doesn't
Yeah.
make sense to me because I would personally, if I was with someone that was 10 years older than me, I'd feel really, really young in comparison. In the same
Mhm.
way, if in the future, bear in mind, not right now, I was with someone that was 10 years younger than me,
Yeah.
I would feel like a grandma. I'd be like, I have nothing in common with you. I barely have anything in common with people my own age.
100%. Well, no, it's, like, true because I even think about it too, like, because I've even, like, thought about it because my sister is 4 years older than me, so she's 28, and so I'm like,
Yeah.
"Okay, I could, like, date someone my sister's age because like, I've hung out with her friends, and I feel like I am, like, a bit mature like, when I know I'm stupid all the time and I talk a lot of shit, but, like, like, I can be mature, like, and I can be serious and stuff like that, but it's, like, also at the same time, like, I'm not even like, I'm almost 25, and
Yeah.
I'm, like, even thinking about dating a 30-year-old 5 years older than me, I'm like, "Oh, but you're, like, 30." Like, I don't you know what I mean? Like, it's not a big age difference, but even things like that, yeah, I just feel like even more so than if you're 10 years apart, yeah, it's like your life experiences are entirely different. Like, you are
Yeah.
in like, you could be the most mature 20-year-old in the world, like, ready to settle down, get married, like, have kids, like, just do this whole thing, but, like, your life experience is still so different to that of a 30-year-old, you know?
Yeah.
So, it's very strange to me.
Like, even 4 years, to be honest, isn't that, because then I think of, like, when I was, like, younger, and obviously celebrities were usually quite a bit older than me, so if I had a celebrity
Mhm.
crush, they would always be at least 4 years older than me, and then I'd
Mhm.
feel like, "Oh my god, that's so weird. That's, like, such
Yeah.
a weird thing to think about." But then I would look at my parents, and they're 4 years apart. I'm like, "I don't think that's,"
Yeah.
because I look at them, I'm like, "Oh, they're just old. They're just
Yeah,
old
yeah.
together."
Well, I was gonna say, I think it's one of those things too where it's like age differences are a lot less weird as you're older. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So like I mean, I don't think 4 years is that bad at all. Like I don't think 4 or 5 years is
No.
bad. But it's like one of those things too where it's like you think about like like I remember like freshmen in high school like we're dating seniors and they're only what like 3 years apart really.
Yeah.
And, like, that's weird to me because 'cause I'm like, "How are you almost 18 and you like a 14-year-old?" Like, that's strange, you know?
Yeah.
But then if it's, like, you're older and you're 25, yeah, and you're dating, like, a 28-year-old, like, that's not that weird. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's just, like and then even more so, like, as you get older, if you're 30 and you're dating a 33, 34-year-old, like, that's not weird at all. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But
It
do you
gets
know what?
less
That's
weird.
actually, especially when it's like, so someone that, because I remember when I was in, secondary school, so, like, high school, I guess, technically,
Mhm.
when I was there, I remember seeing people that were, like, just about to leave at that
Mhm.
age, so they were, like, 16 at the time because we have college afterwards, but even 16 and me being, like, 12 or 13, I just thought they were, like, so much older.
Mhm.
And then it's always really shocking for me personally when I, like, when you just see something random, like someone's posted about someone that you used to go to school with or something because
Mhm.
they're friends with them, but you're not friends with them anymore, and then you snoop on their page to
Mhm.
sort of see what they're doing. I just remember seeing someone that's like the same age as me, maybe a year older than me or something, and he was like, so he's like 20 or 21 or something, and now he's married to like a 30-year-old.
Yeah.
And I remember just being like, ah. But like, fair enough
Yeah.
if they
I mean,
truly have something in common.
yeah, I mean, obviously, like, it's just, like, it looks a little weird. Obviously, like, if you're, like, madly in love and you're living your best life, like, there's you know what I mean? Good for you.
Yeah.
But it's strange. A
Yeah.
little weird.
But I guess that's just a personal thing.
Yeah, a personal preference.
So sorry if I look like I'm really distracted. I'm trying to find a video because I completely like forgot to set up the thing so that it's ready to go when we do the sprints.
You're fine. What are you reading?
Oh yeah, we should. What do you want to start saying? What your? Oh, Nikki's here.
Oh, hello.
Are we talking about Taylor Swift? Yes,
Yes,
we
we
are.
were.
Oh, we were for a very long time. It could go on forever, to be honest. Like if you take into consideration the amount of albums and then the time it takes to talk about one thing, I mean, there's.
I could
You know.
literally talk for hours and hours and hours and hours about Taylor Swift.
I'm surprised that no one has like created some kind of TV show in which they just sit down and talk about Taylor Swift.
You
Like the
know
amount of
what?
seasons.
There's probably a podcast out there somewhere that's like
Yeah.
that, to be honest.
Jumping between these sprints and someone else's. Oh, yeah, I think Chelsea was messaging me earlier and she said, "Oh no, I commented on her video and then she replied saying she has a headache, which is the worst,
No.
especially when you want to read because it's like your head's just like no."
That's literally the worst. I hate headaches with everything in me because I just feel like you can
Yeah.
also, like, obviously you can take like medicine, but I'm like, it doesn't really go away.
No, it's
Like,
always
it's
there.
very annoying. Oh yeah, so what are we reading?
I am reading. I mean, I'm just going to show this. Just like I'm reading this, but not now.
Yeah.
I got halfway through and I was like, "Do you know what? You're allowed to take a break."
That's a feat.
I am because I started this yesterday, and I think I am like just over halfway through, so I could probably get done with this today. I
Ooh,
thought
what
that was
is it
kind of
about? I don't think I've
so
heard of that.
it's Leaves the World Behind by someone whose name I can't pronounce. Um, but it's basically so originally I thought it was just about a couple that goes to like a cabin in the woods, but it's not. It's actually about this couple who also have two children, and they basically are
Oh.
going on holiday.
Uh-huh.
They go to I think it's more so a house, kind of like not a mansion, but you know, like a quite a big house, clearly like very expensive and stuff like that. And it's like this great thing for them because they don't have that much money, like they live in Brooklyn or whatever, and then they're going on holiday, and then suddenly they hear about nothing, but this couple in the night just start knocking on their door and say, "Oh, we own this property. We need to get in because we were on our way back from something, and then there was a blackout, and we thought this was safer than going back to our apartment in New York." So they're just like there. And then the couple that are staying are like, "Well, what are we supposed to do? We've got kids, like we don't know." But there's also this element of the couple are black and the couple staying there, like renting it, are white. So they have prejudices against them, like, is it really? So it kind of reminds me of like a thriller version of like something Jordan Peele would do, you know, where it's like it's thriller or horror, but it's got elements of like commentary and stuff like that.
Okay,
So
yeah. Okay, when you start talking about it, it's because that version is so different from the
yeah,
US version. And when you start talking about it, I can picture the cover. I
yeah, I
know.
know it looks really different. I actually prefer. I don't. Is the normal US version the same as the book of the month version? Because I remember seeing the book of the
I
month
believe
cover
so. It's the
where it's
one where it's
like
like I think a black
really
background and
dark.
like
Yeah,
yes, it's very dark. Yeah.
yeah,
I like yours just because it's cute. I like the colors, but like
yeah. I
that doesn't
know
seem
it
like it
is.
goes with the vibe of the
No, it
book.
doesn't. I thought I saw deer, and I was like, right, it's cabin in the woods. Shit's going
Yeah.
down. They're lying to them. They're gonna murder them. That's what's
Yeah.
gonna happen. It's just not those vibes at all.
Yeah. Well, I feel like the
So,
cover makes it look like it's more of like a contemporary or
but
something.
do you know? No, actually, that kind of the way it's written at first, I was like, this doesn't feel like a thriller. It's written in a way that feels more like literary fiction.
Mhm.
It's really weird because it kind of feels like it's written in the way there's this one specific short story collection that I remember reading, that's Danish that had
Mhm.
when things are written in a really blatant way, and it
Mhm.
just feels very like on the nose, very like just written as it is. There's not really
Mhm.
much emotion behind it. There's people's thoughts, but it's like just kind of matter of fact, this is the way it is. It was
Mhm.
kind of difficult to get into because it doesn't feel like a commercial thriller. It kind of feels more like literary fiction.
Yeah.
Then once you get into it, I think it goes hand in hand with the kind of commentary thing.
Yeah.
What are you reading? Because I've been talking about my book for a while.
No, you're fine. I'm like that actually sounds really interesting, and if you like it, I honestly might pick it up.
I will definitely let you know.
Yeah, I'm gonna be continuing reading It Ends With Us by Colleen
Oh
Hoover.
yes, I forgot. How are you finding it so far? Except
Um,
from being emotionally distraught potentially.
yeah, you know what? I'm like making myself emotionally distraught because like nothing emotional has happened yet, but like I have a feeling like because I'm reading it with Valisa, and like she told me something that she thinks was gonna happen, and now I can't unsee it, and now I'm stressing myself out. But I really like it so far. I'm actually like very pleasantly surprised, to be honest, because
That's good.
I
What
don't
is it?
know,
Oh,
or what
can
was
you
that?
give me a synopsis? Sorry, I'm still looking for something
No.
else, but I can can you do you know like roughly what it's about or you still
I
have no
did
idea?
so I didn't read the synopsis, but also like because I just wanted to kind of go into it like blindly.
Yeah.
Um, but it's like one of those things where it's like so hard to talk about like what it's about because it's like
Mm,
things are happening, but it's nothing like super substantial, you know? But it's like about this girl and she ends up meeting this guy and they kind of like have this like attraction to each other. Um, and then I don't know, it's just like she like opens up a flower shop and she kind of like they kind of start dating a little bit, like whatever. But then
yeah.
she also like is rereading these old diary entries from when she was I think like 15 or 16 and she was like helping out this homeless boy and it's kind of like talking about how like her and this like homeless boy fell in love and then
Yeah.
like also about like her parents like abusive relationship. It's like a lot of
Okay, there's
like
a lot of it sounds like it's basically just her life story.
yeah, basically. It's like you're like rereading her like diary entries about her life story and then you're like just seeing her life in present day kind of thing, you know?
Yeah.
I feel like if I like the synopsis clearly on like Goodreads or something is probably a lot better than that, but I didn't read it. I just kind of wanted to go into it like really blindly.
But I bet you it sounds like because there's so much going on, it's the kind of synopsis where you read it and then you're like, but what is it actually about?
Yeah,
Like
no,
feel like you
100%.
never know what it's about anyway.
100%. I feel like that's probably accurate.
So yes, A Clash of Kings. I believe that's one of the what's it called? The Game of Thrones books,
Mm,
which I've yeah considered
I
reading and then went maybe not today, maybe not
literally
now,
me.
maybe not ever.
Literally me. I bought the first Game of Thrones book and it was just sitting on my shelf and I was like, I'm never gonna read you. Like that's just not gonna happen.
Right, if Chelsea's here, I want a clarification. What sucks? The fact that you've been reading it for a week, or the actual book?
That's
Because
true.
yeah,
Maybe both. If
I
she
mean,
doesn't
I
like the book, she's
understand.
upset she's been reading it
Uh
for a
yeah,
week.
exactly. I hate it when like it's I've been reading it for a week and I'm just like halfway through, which if this was another book, I would probably like 500 pages, like a 500-page book I'd be able to read in less than a week. But
Yeah.
and then like yeah, I don't know. It's just saddening. So I'm
Yeah.
like, I can read so fast, but now I can't.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so Nikki said she was studying.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what it's going to be like for me when I have to go into like actually physically working with people.
It just
Oy.
seems so difficult. Like
Yeah,
I can't even imagine like clerkship and like any of that type of thing.
yeah.
I wouldn't be able to handle it. That's just like so much. And then
What
especially
is it?
like
Yeah,
Nikki like actually like still making content and like reading and stuff. I'm like, how?
yeah. I don't
Literally
like.
how?
Yeah, I I I don't even want to think about it. Luckily, I think that it's not for another few years until, or like a couple of years at least, until I have to
Mhm.
physically like go and do some kind of work experience or
Mhm.
whatever. But because I'm the kind of person where if I'm doing more than the bare minimum, I will burn myself out. Like I can't. I think it's the way that I grew up where I
Mhm.
just wasn't really my parents weren't adamant on me doing loads of like after school activities. So I was just like, okay, I'll just sit at home and watch TV, that's fine. And now my brain's
Literally
just like
me.
used to that.
Literally me. If I have to do anything beyond like my basic job description or like basic like yeah, bare minimum, I'm like very annoyed.
Bastard's Betrayal. I feel like
It's
I've heard of that. But I can't remember.
We were buddy reading this, and I finished this the other day. It's a romance. It's a dark
Okay.
romance.
Okay, yeah.
Mhm.
It's either with titles like that, it's either fantasy or it is some kind of like very
Romance.
specific
Yeah.
romance.
No, Nikki, I'm really excited for you to finish because I want to know what you think of it. It's really dramatic and it's so funny. It's like a mafia romance. And like
Ah, okay,
I've
yeah.
never read like I because I normally just read contemporary romances, you know, so I read like Danny Brown and you know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like I read like these like where they're still like smutty a bit, but like
yeah,
they're like cutesy too. And like it was a time, it was an experience.
yeah,
It was
yeah.
really funny.
The distinction I make between sort of like what I classify as contemporary is has it got an illustrated cover, then it's
Mhm.
contemporary. Anything else, I'm like, no thanks. You can if I
Yeah,
can see an actual human being, no thank you.
100%. Well, I just hate the covers of like
Yeah,
romances because I'm like not contemporary, you know, like all of the
yeah,
other like romances. I'm like, I don't want to see a shirtless guy. Like, I
yeah,
think the cover of this is like some girl and she's like sitting on like this like throne type looking
yeah.
chair and like it's ugly. Like
Mm.
it's just
Well,
not cute.
they always look very much like a mass market paperback, even if it isn't. And
Mhm.
it gives that's the reason why people feel so like weird about reading romances,
Mhm.
like in general, and people look down at it, is because of course if you're sitting with a book that has a picture like that, people are gonna be thinking, what the hell are you
Yeah.
reading?
100%. But then also too, I'm also just like, okay, but like what else are you supposed to like make the cover look like? You know what I mean? Because even
Yeah.
like Colleen Hoover's covers, I'm like, ew,
Well,
I
yeah,
hate
they're
her
really
covers.
boring because they don't really say anything about what
Hmm.
the yeah,
Yeah, it's
I
just
don't know.
difficult.
Akamath, that's
Uh, I need to read
great.
Echo so bad.
Oh my god, yeah, I forgot you haven't. When was because you read Akamath before I did, so it must have been
Yeah, I
ages.
read Akamath like, I don't know, April or something,
Yeah.
like a super long time ago. But I'm so scared. I was scarred at the end of Akamath and it like put me in a reading slump because I just like couldn't think about anything else.
Well, I would say Akawa kind of resolves the stuff that happens in
Mhm.
Akamath, especially because it is kind of like the original trilogy. So you
Mhm.
can at least expect that it will be like somewhat cleanly, like
Yeah.
not too much emotional scarring.
Yeah. Hopefully. But I don't know. I'm like so emotional, especially as of late.
Yeah, it sucks that she's been reading for a week. Okay,
Mm.
so I'm guessing that the book is all right.
Yeah. I feel like it takes me so long to read really big books though. Like I'm so
Yeah.
scared to start reading Crescent City because that book is literally so long and I'm like I'm going
Yeah,
to read
but
it for like
is it much longer
ever.
than like oh wait, I guess
It's
because
800 pages.
Akawa is like relatively close. I know you haven't read it yet, but
Yeah.
like it is relatively close. And then if you think of like Akamath is still quite a bit shorter, but do you not feel like when you read Sarah J. Maas, even if it looks like a big book, you read it really quickly anyway? That's how
Yeah,
I felt at
that's
least.
true.
So
The
that's why,
only
yeah.
thing that makes me nervous is that I've heard people say that this first book in this series, like the beginning is like quite slow.
Okay, but that's what they said about Akatar. I feel like everyone was like, "Oh, the first half of Akatar is so like
That's
boring,"
true.
and I read it and I was like, "I don't
This
think
is
it's boring."
fine. Yeah,
It's like
that's
just
true.
setting up the story.
Yeah, that's very true. Okay. You've
So
convinced me.
yeah.
It'll be a good experience.
Well, I mean, you have to read it regardless. I will
Oh,
be,
that's true. I don't have a
I will
choice.
be forcing you to. 8 to 12 hours a day. Yeah, even
uh,
that, even what the idea of working 12 hours a day, like as a job, like
horrific.
it's crazy. That how many other jobs have like a regular thing of 12 hours a day?
Yeah,
I
I
don't
can't
actually know because
even
I've never had a job.
I can't even like not many.
Yeah.
I feel like it's only like healthcare and
Mm,
then obviously and then I know there's like a few other jobs like type of like shift work like I know at my job right now like there's some like HR workers that work like 12-hour days, which is
yeah.
strange to me. I'm like that's HR, that's weird. But like um it's not very often.
No.
And like I would die because like after my 8-hour day I'm like I'm done. I want to
Yeah.
leave
And
work, like
also
I'm over it.
not being paid, like not having I feel like
Yeah.
even if you don't get an actual wage, some kind of compensation for the amount of time, because here we don't get like, it's not like we get paid, and I mean, I'm not even working as such, but just for going
Yeah.
to university and having an education, we get like they call it like a grant, but you don't have to pay it back. Like it's not a loan, but it's also
Mhm.
just money the government give you in order to sort of keep you afloat while you're studying. Because I feel like to expect any student, no, but honestly, it makes sense, and obviously it's easy
No,
to
I know,
do
but
when
I'm
you've
like,
got
that's
such a
so
small.
nice.
Yeah, I know. It's small country
Yeah.
syndrome or whatever. Like positives,
Mhm.
negatives. There's loads of things, but really, if a country has the ability to do that, it just makes sense because why should you expect someone to work in order to get a better job that benefits the country more than just
Yeah.
getting like some bog standard job and then not even getting any kind of help with it.
Yeah. Wow,
But
that's so nice.
that's like politics. I
Yeah.
don't talk about that.
Oh,
I
hello, Valisa.
uh,
Valisa, what
right.
are you reading?
Oh yes, we would love to know. I
Yes.
don't know if I've usually I'm quite good at seeing like knowing what people are reading because they post about it on Instagram, but I don't think I've
Mhm.
seen anything from Valisa.
I I don't know. Valisa reads like 10 books at one time, but
Oh
but
yeah.
she's reading It Ends With Us with me. So
Oh, okay.
I
Yeah.
don't know what she's gonna be reading right
How many
now.
different buddy reads are you doing at the moment, or have you got planned? Because it sounds like you keep on saying, "I'm reading this with this person and that with this
No,
person."
no, this is the only one that I'm doing right now. It's because with Nikki, it was just like a really random thing where
Mm,
she was like, I got this book from Libby. Like, do you want to read it with me? And I was like, yes. And then it was like that kind of thing. It wasn't like a planned
yeah.
type of thing. And then even similarly with this, it was like me and Felicia like randomly were like, okay, let's start reading this next week. And we're like, okay. And then that's that. But it's because I'm trying to like limit my buddy reads because I feel like I buddy read so much and then I feel like pressure. You know what I mean?
Wait, we've got confirmation. It
Oh
ends
yeah.
with us taking over reading plans. See, this is why I'm so bad at reading multiple books at once because I just end up preferring one of them. I'm like,
Mhm.
I'll just stick to that for now.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, like
Hello.
people
That's
that get
so
up
early.
that early. I'm like, how? I'd
Yeah,
like to know.
could never be me, honestly.
Yeah. Oh wait, Nikki said something about. Oh, she bamboozled you.
It's not bamboozling me because if I didn't wanna read it, I would have said no.
To be honest, like I 100% believe that if someone asked you to do something you didn't want to do, you would know to say no. Like you strike me as one of
Mhm.
those people that just knows what they want and you just say no.
Wow, that's so nice, thank you. I feel like that's true half the time. Because
Yeah.
I'm also very stressed all the time that I'm making everyone in the world upset at me. So I'm like, at the same time, I'm like, I'm really sorry, but and then it's like
Yeah.
a whole mess.
I'm like, for me, I know like there's a lot of things that I would say no to, but if saying no means that I have to actively say no instead of just ignoring someone. You know, when someone like it's easy enough if someone says, "Do you want to do this?" and you say, "Oh, sorry, I can't." But if
Yeah.
it's like if there's like an arrangement and it's like you have to actively go out of your way to be like, "Oh, I can't do this because of this and this and that," I'm
Hmm.
just like, "Oh, I'll do it anyway."
Yeah, I'd rather die than give anyone a reason for why I
Yeah.
can't do anything.
It's like because then it's like, well, what if they try to check up on it or ask me questions? And then I'm
Yeah.
like, especially when it's related to anything Danish and I have to actively give people explanations, I'm like, so for some reason, like I'm really good at just pulling myself away when there's like schoolwork. I mean, obviously, it's probably been a while since you've done like the sort of, classroom sitting together and
Hmm.
being put into groups and stuff like that. But we had this course, we're doing this course that's kind of to do with like how you, as like a healthcare professional,
Hmm.
talk to your patients and stuff like that.
Hmm.
And there's so many of us that the teacher doesn't even like actively put us into groups. She's just kind of like get into groups and follow these activities. And we
Hmm.
were supposed to be in groups of 2 and I ended up in a group of 3, and just she was like, now one of you has to start talking, and I was like, didn't say anything. I just didn't do anything. Then the other person has to start talking. I didn't do anything. So then I just ended up not doing anything for the whole time. And I
Literally
was like,
me.
it's a gift.
I would do the same thing. I would do the exact same thing. Every time they were like, when I was in class and they were like, oh, partner up, I'd be like, And then like I would just not have a partner. I'd be like, hey, and then I'd be like, I don't want to do this. I
Oh
don't
my god,
want
that
to
was the worst thing was, like, having that's why I was always like, I'm not super fussed about having, like, really, really great friends or whatever, because usually friends at school don't have all the same interests as you, especially when you get older.
Mhm.
So I was like,
Mhm.
but I had to know a couple of people just so that I knew that, like, now I just have to know there's a couple of people that I know when I'm sitting down for a lecture, just so that I know
Mhm.
them, and just in case
Yeah.
we have to do something.
Yeah. No, my lectures though were like 500 people, so I was like I couldn't even like
Oh yeah, our lectures are that many people, but it's
oh
like we
yeah.
have a little section that we always sit in.
Oh, okay,
It's just
okay.
nice so I don't have to sit next to strangers
Yeah.
because I hate sick. Someone on like the second day of me having lectures, I sat somewhere, put my bag on the seat next to me, and someone
Mhm.
came up behind me and tapped me on the shoulder to get me to move my bag, and I literally started shaking. I was like, I can't deal with this. And then like my vision, like because the screen was so far away, I couldn't see the
Uh-huh.
screen properly. I was like, what the fuck am I doing here? I can't even see the screen.
That is so funny. Okay,
Then
this
you
is
read
not
them
true,
faster.
Nikki, because the last buddy read we did for what is that book called? The one that I hated. I forgot what it was called.
Oh, I
Those
know what you're
Hollow
talking
Vows.
about. Yeah.
That one. She finished it before me. I'm pretty sure. So that's not true. It's a 50-50. Oh my god,
Yeah,
thank
I
you.
think what you just always have really you and like I've noticed Belisa as well. Both of you, the way you express yourself, like watching your vlogs when you're talking about books is just so
You're so
like
nice.
so bright and vivid and like and I think it's a language thing as well that if I tried to speak the way you two do about books, I would feel like a knob because I'd be like, no, your British accent does not work with this. It's like I don't know if it's an American thing that like listening to people speak with an American accent and using the
Mhm,
kind of like vernacular and like the language that you guys
mhm.
use, it just makes it sound much more interesting. And I'm
Thank
meanwhile I'm sitting
you.
there like blah 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 blah.
No, that's not even true though. I feel like you're really engaging, like, when you talk about books as well. It's just, like, one of those things where it's, like, it's just different ways
Yeah.
of, like, going about it, but it's still, like, effective, you know what I mean? Like, I just think me and Felisa are I mean, I can't speak for Felisa, obviously, but, like, I just feel like we're very, like, emotional speakers, you know
Mm.
what I mean? And so, like,
What I
that's
would
why
explain, you're like very outwardly like you show your opinions outwardly and your emotions outwardly, whereas I'm
Mhm.
a very like I have lots of things in my
I
head.
feel like
It's
you're
just
very
like expressing them.
introspective.
Yeah. It's
Mhm.
that's what happens when you move country and then you don't want to talk to anyone and then you just end up I know every single thing about myself and yet I don't know how to express it to
Yeah.
anyone.
Yeah, see, so it's just, like, different. But I think you're a very effective when you talk about your books. I love
Okay,
hearing you
thank
talk about books
you.
as well.
I
Well,
will
because
take
also
that. I'm
you're,
not
like,
going to
really
argue.
smart. So, like, I feel like half the time I'm talking about books, I'm just saying really dumb shit. I'm like, "It was so good." Like, I'm just, like, saying stupid stuff,
Yeah,
and
but
then
I
you're,
don't
like, actually, like, analyzing the
no, but
book.
some do you know what? You say that, but sometimes I do I mean, I obviously don't have, like, a thing in my head of knowing exactly what you've said, but I do sometimes watch things and think, "How can you think that you sound dumb when there are some things that I don't even pick up in books?" Like, I don't pick up on because, like, there's only very s it's if I really specifically really like a book, and there's one thing that I pick up on, but there's a lot of things I always miss, and you always notice them in books. Like, there's
Thank
certain
you.
things you say, and I'm like, "What? I didn't know that was a thing." So,
Wow,
it's
thank
just oh
you.
my god, this is just gonna be us basically
I
backwards
know,
and
I'm like,
forwards just saying,
"So
"But you."
nice."
Right, talking about smart, War and Peace, I don't
Oh,
like mm-mm.
could never be me.
I
Could
couldn't
never.
even just any kind of classic Russian literature is the furthest down on my TBR, like, of books I wanna read. Like, yes, I would theoretically like to read it. Will I read it?
Mhm.
Probably not.
100%. I can't even get through, like, normal classics that are, like,
Mm,
200 pages. I DNF'd
yeah.
Frankenstein in
Did you
October.
actually?
I did, and it's, like, the shortest book ever, and I was like, don't like
Yeah,
this, I'm bored."
I I started Dracula. I think I'm 100 pages in, and I started it at the beginning of
Mhm,
October, so I haven't DNF'd it, but I just have not looked at it.
mhm. Yeah, it's just they're too difficult to actually get through.
Right, are we
should
ready
we
to
actually
read?
start reading? I was gonna
Okay,
say.
I'm thinking, right, listen, this was our first, we haven't spoken,
That's
like,
true.
physically
It's been
in
a while.
months, in a very long time, because I feel like we both simultaneously dropped off the face of the earth, and then made
Mhm.
a small little, like,
Yeah.
we're still here, and now
Yeah.
we're back. But what was I going to say? Yeah, it was the first introduction. We're rounding up on like 40 minutes now, which I
Yeah.
think is fine. It's fine,
mean
and then we can. I'm thinking half an hour reading,
Mhm.
and then hopefully we can keep ourselves to like 15 minutes of talking or something like that.
Okay, yes. I think we can do it. It's because yeah, I feel like right now we're catching up. We're
Yeah.
just chatting
And
away.
we needed
So
to get all of our like love for each other off of our chests
exactly.
first and just say how great we both are.
Exactly. Listen, I think that's a good plan.
Right, I'm just going to take these last comments just
Oh
quickly.
yes.
Thank you. I haven't even read the whole comment. I just you
I'm the same way as Melissa. I think it's because I think, at least for me, I kind of black out when I talk sometimes. Like
I do exactly the
I
same,
just
especially
like
any kind of
say
school.
things,
Yeah.
and then I'm
Whenever I
like,
did any, yeah, especially did you have like at school when you had to present things or like
mhm,
doing an exam? If I ever did a verbal exam and I was sitting having a conversation with the teacher, because that's quite a common thing in Denmark, I would
mhm.
sit there and I would be like, "Oh yeah, this is going great," and then I'd walk out the room and I'd be like, "What the fuck did I talk about?" My parents would be like, "How do you think it went?" And I was like,
No
I
idea.
don't know. I don't even know if I spoke about the right topic, to be quite honest.
Literally, literally.
I'm sure you will be able to read it. Also, I love the fact that Nikki writes he with a J, because obviously it's like the Spanish J, I'm
Mhm.
guessing. But if it was in Danish, like reading it, it would say yi.
I love
It's
that.
quite funny. The way why I feel like J is one of the letters that changes the most, like in
Mhm.
pronunciation.
I love that so much. I think I wrote that right.
I don't think
You wrote it.
you. Oh, Frankenstein. It doesn't matter how you wrote
It's
it.
fine. We knew
Frankenstein
what
is
you
a
were
stupid
saying.
name. It's
It is. Ugh,
yeah. I love
love
positivity as well.
love the positivity. You know what? It's because we started this on a wonderful note talking about Taylor Swift.
Oh my god, yes, that's what it is. It's when you talk about Taylor Swift, you can't help but be positive.
A
Do you know what? I swear,
100%.
this is the last thing I will say is that whenever I watch anything, the way she sits and like smiles and like talks,
Her
it's like
posture is so
there's
good.
absolutely no way that she is not some kind of alien angel
Mhm.
mixture thing. Like that's not a human being. Like
No.
I don't yeah.
No. She's like so graceful. I just
Mm,
can't get over her posture. I'm like
yeah.
I'm
Especially
like,
being so tall.
yeah, I'm so hunchback constantly that I'm just like I can't relate, but I wish I could.
Right.
Okay.
Is this
I'm gonna
sharing
say,
now?
all right, we need to read. Oh
Cool.
my god,
Yes,
cute.
I hope this. I haven't even watched. Actually, I might have watched this one. I think it's like jazz music in the background. It's not too overtly Christmassy right now because I didn't want to like throw it in anyone's faces.
Mhm.
But still, the Christmas tree in the background. So I feel like it's going to be quite vibey.
Yes, I love that.
And hopefully, I've never
Yay.
used this. Is that all right? Can you hear it? Ah,
Oh
it's
yeah.
really loud. And can you hear it?
Yeah, I can hear it.
Okay, it's really loud in my ears.
Yeah, I was gonna say you can lower it a little bit.
There we go. Is that all
Oh yeah,
right?
that's good. Yeah.
Cool. Right, I've put it on for 30
Cute.
minutes. I will see you in 30 minutes.
Okay. Yay. See you. Hello.
Just make. Can you hear me?
Yes. Oh wait, I'm lying. I can't hear you anymore.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Still hear me?
Yes.
Still hear me?
Perfect.
Cool. It's just every time I was like, I don't want to sit with my headphones on, but I still
Yeah.
wanted to listen to the thing. So, but anyway, I've sorted it out.
Yeah. How did you do? How many pages did you read? Oh,
I'm just gonna quickly
hello.
say hi. Yes, that was
I
fun because
know.
I was on his sprints yesterday, like watching,
I know.
and
I
he did
feel
mention.
so. I was gonna say I feel so bad. I literally haven't been able to make it to like any of his sprints. It's like every time he does sprints, I'm like out doing something.
Yeah, I thought it would be Zach because I
Yeah.
feel like he usually. But oh yeah, BTQ. I didn't even notice that. Yeah. I was gonna say no. Yeah, I can only ever watch the ones that are like in the morning for him. So like
Oh yeah.
they're like they're perfect for me personally because it's like Saturday for me in the like afternoon evening. It's
Yeah.
not like too late, but it's also like not a day when I'm doing anything. So
Yeah.
Nick, you got work done. Well
Yay.
done.
Love that.
Congratulations.
Yay. I know. How many pages did you read, Chloe?
I don't actually know. I'm going off of the fact that last time I did a 30-minute sprint, like yesterday, I think I read about 30-ish pages. So it's
Mm-hmm.
probably the same kind of thing. How many did
Yeah.
you read?
I read 33.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I usually it tends to be like a page per minute, unless
Mm-hmm.
it's a YA thriller, and then it's like so fast, and I
Super
feel so
fast.
great about
Yeah.
myself. I'm like 50 minutes per half
Yeah.
an hour. Um, Zach is asking what we're reading. I'm still reading the book that I was reading yesterday, so I guess you kind of know that by now. What are you reading,
Yeah.
Sarah?
I'm reading It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. I was there's like things happening and I was like freaking like I probably look ridiculous because I was like freaking out by myself like just reading this. I I'm unwell. I'm gonna be so unwell. Like I'm just like Colleen Hoover is literally gonna have me by the throat. Like, and I knew this was gonna happen. I was like, I don't want to read a Colleen Hoover book because like everyone's obsessed with her, and like for the most part, I feel like pretty hyped up books. Like I also tend to enjoy, you know.
Yeah.
So I feel
Wait,
like
wait. I
it's just gonna be a whole
I
thing.
need to read. Do you like it, Sarah? Sorry,
I
get out.
do. I
Have you not read any of her other books then?
no, I read this is my very first Colleen Hoover I've ever read. And so that's why I'm just like, I just have a
Okay.
feeling she's gonna, and she's doing it for me. She's doing it for me. I get it. I
Okay.
understand.
Yeah. I've never read any of her books. The one that I've been most interested in is Verity because that's
Hmm.
thriller and that sounds kind of interesting.
Yeah.
But like I do kind of if she I mean I have heard like I swear there was another book that was supposed to be like really, really sad as well. Maybe it was It Ends With Us that I've
I
heard that was
think
really sad.
all
I
of her
feel like
books are
probably all of them,
sad.
yeah.
I think
I
all of
feel
them
like
are.
maybe that should be another like I'm trying to find a book that actually makes me feel feel like
That's
real
true.
emotions because I
Yeah.
don't like I read A Little Life and it's like I can register the fact that obviously it's really, really traumatic and stuff like that, this thing that this
Mhm.
person is going through. But the closest I ever got was like that feeling of like being choked up but not actually
Yeah.
physically crying. But I
Yeah.
cry at like the most ridiculous things. I just don't cry at things you're supposed to cry at. Like I once
Yeah.
I'm not kidding, I can like when I was younger, if I like dropped a bowl and broke it, I would cry. If I like accidentally spill yogurt, I will cry. But
Yeah.
I don't cry at people dying because I'm like, do you know
I
what?
just cry at everything. So like I'm just like fucked in life because everything makes me literally sob. So
Yeah.
it's just a whole thing. Ooh,
Lisa read
Lisa.
30. I feel like we're all like in the same
Same
kind of
realm.
zone, yeah. But she's
Yeah.
reading on. See, do you then just like check the page number afterwards if you're listening on audio? Because I never check. I always
Yeah,
have it on the
I
percentage.
I was gonna say I'll usually do that if I have like it physically. I tried listening to the audio, so I got the audiobook for this as well. I don't like the narrator. Like,
Oh,
I
okay,
literally
yeah.
listened to like a few minutes and I was like, ew, I don't like this. I'm just gonna read it.
Yeah, I
Cause
never really think about narrators, but I just don't like audiobooks in general. Uh,
yeah.
I'm just not. I
I was
guess I'm
gonna
not a
say,
very auditory person.
yeah, yeah, I was gonna say I think I listen to a lot of audiobooks. So like I feel like now I can tell just by listening if
Yeah,
I'm gonna like the audiobook or not.
yeah. I don't know
Mhm.
if you've read or like listened to many books where they have different narrators for like the different
Mhm.
people. Do you prefer those to like just one person?
Um, yes, for the most part, yes. Like I think if it works, then it's good. Like I like
Yeah,
it when it's like especially like YA fantasy where it'll be like a dual perspective, and if it's
yeah,
like a girl and a guy, like I like that they have different narrators, or even just like for every character chapter to have like its own narrator.
yeah.
And then also like Daisy Jones and the Six, that audiobook was really good because that one was like a full cast.
Mm,
So
yeah.
I do really like those because I feel like it also makes it easier for you to like understand like who's talking or like whose
Mm,
point of view it is, you know?
yeah. No, that definitely makes sense.
Mhm.
I the ones that I've listened to have always just been one person. But like
Mhm.
the Daisy Jones and the Six sounds like a really good book to have on audio as well. I've heard that it's like really good.
It's really good. I
Um,
That's how I consumed it. Like I didn't read it at all. I just listened to the audio and the audio was
yeah.
so good.
Where is it? What page are you on for these
Oh,
ones?
I'm on page 171. Felisa, I'm gonna after this, I'm literally gonna have to like talk to Felisa about this freaking book because I'm pretty sure we're like around the same like page as far as like I think last night when we were talking, I think we were like literally like a few pages apart. So
Mm.
I'm like, there's a part I need to talk to her
That's
about. I need
always so like it's such a special moment
to.
when your buddy reading something and you're just at the same part.
Yeah, because there's literally a part that I read, and I feel like she might have like also read that part, and I was like
Yeah.
screaming, I can't deal.
I almost like am in half a mind to just get you like these books that give you such like visceral reactions because I don't really usually have that. It'd be
Mhm.
so funny and like interesting to just sit and watch you read a book just to see what you actually do. I'm kind of like I mean obviously I want to read while I'm doing reading sprints, but I'm also always because like even as someone that doesn't make like I make faces and stuff like
Yeah.
that when I'm reading. Like there was this isn't really a spoiler. There was just this moment they've got this swimming pool in this book. There's a moment where a bunch of flamingos start jumping in the pool, and I was like,
What?
okay, and then, like that definitely like. But
Yeah.
just people that have actual like, do you like say things out loud as well?
Yeah,
Like, do
no,
you kind of
I'm
scream and
if you like would have looked at me at that part, I was literally like, "You're lying. You're lying." Like I was literally speaking. Like
okay, cool. Awesome. Do you know what? That makes me want to meet you in person so much more so that we can sit and read together. I'll be reading nice and quietly and then you're
and then
just
I'll be
like
screaming.
mumbling on the screaming on the side.
Literally, honestly, because I do it all the time.
Yeah. I wish I was that kind of person, but that's just not sometimes I am. I think I've done there was a book that I read the other day where I definitely did something similar, but like,
Mhm.
this is just something else that Zach was saying yesterday.
Yeah.
I think Casey reads slightly more like horror stuff than I do. Casey
Mhm.
is like the level of horror reader that I want to be,
Mhm.
but there's so many things. I'm like, I want a little bit of horror, but I want a little bit of thriller, but I kind of want a
Yeah.
teeny little bit of romance, some
Mhm.
fantasy and stuff like that. And then I just get overwhelmed and I'm like, I need to buy all these books, but I have no money, and then I need to read them all, but I don't have enough time. It's like that's just the life. I mean, it's third world problems, but it's also the life of a reader.
100%. Yeah. I'm always trying to like I just try to like put variety in what like I don't like reading the same genre like twice in a row. Like I try to not do that, but then I'll
Yeah.
end up doing it anyway. So
Sometimes I do that, but then the thing is, like, right now on my TBR, I've got quite a few thrillers, so I
mhm.
feel like I'm gonna have to read I can't speak, quite a few thrillers,
Mhm.
but then I'm also like, "Do I really wanna do that?" But if I don't do that, then you just
Mhm.
end up with all the same genre at the end, and then you're like, "I don't
Yeah.
wanna read anything."
Yeah, 100%. Well, that's
And
why
then
I
all
just feel like
yeah.
sorry, I was just gonna say, like, I feel like I
Or
end up getting in slumps if I read too much of the same genre, like, all at once.
yeah. Du- du- du. Listen, I would say yes, but like I feel like I would go to the US because I would not ask you to go to come to Denmark. There's nothing here. But also, I would need someone to fund it. So if you're offering to sponsor me, then yeah, fair enough, go ahead. But otherwise, it's not going to happen for a while.
Literally.
It's like
It's too
finding the time
expensive.
as well. It's too
Mhm.
expensive. No, I remember like I've been to Seattle once
Mhm.
and I can't even remember how much it was, but it was like depleted my bank account completely at the time. Like
Yeah.
literally had no money afterwards, or like I had like enough that I'd saved up after buying the tickets because it was like a year in advance,
Mhm.
and I was like, I can't do this for like another 10 years.
Yeah, I can't even imagine, like, how much it costs to, like,
Mm,
travel internationally like that.
yeah.
Absolutely not.
Last night in her
Okay, okay,
office.
so Lisa's ahead of me. I think I stopped right at that chapter. Oh, no. That means that, like,
Okay.
when we start reading again, I'm gonna be like, "Jesus Christ."
Am I gonna want to read, or am I just gonna be sitting there like creeping on you?
I'm gonna be screaming, literally screaming.
Okay. You. Yep. I think we've got confirmation of that as well.
I can tell because, like, I'm reading things and, like, things are connecting, and I'm just like, I I'm already in it.
Yeah, and have you seen his most recent video where he talks about like the
Oh,
holiday
yeah,
romances
I
he's
need to
bought?
watch it, but I,
Yeah,
like,
it's really
started
good.
watching it. Um, I saw that you commented about In a Holidays.
Yeah.
I
Oh
hate
no,
that.
yeah, yeah. Do you actually? No, it's just it's. I guess it's like the Groundhog Day thing. Is it like a
Yeah,
Groundhog Day where it's like over and over?
it's, like, supposedly
Okay,
it's
okay, fair enough.
yeah, it honestly, I feel like it's marketed like that Groundhog Day, but that's such a, like, back burner kind of, like, plot device. Like, I don't know,
Okay,
it's just not
yeah,
at the forefront, and I was expecting it to be a lot more at the
fair enough.
forefront.
Um. Oh no.
Yeah, sorry.
Where is it? No, but there was also that. There's also you've probably heard of it because it's been like everywhere recently. The holiday swap or whatever it's called.
Mhm.
Have you? Yeah, where like is it two sisters or twins or something switch
Yes,
lives or something? It
I think
reminds
they're
me.
twins.
Yeah, it reminds me so much of the princess thingy bob. What's it called?
The
Is
one
it
on
the princess
Netflix?
swap? The one on Netflix with
Yeah,
Vanessa
The
Hudgens?
Princess Switch, I know. I love those movies. You know they're
Yeah,
making
I
a 3rd one?
Yes, there's a third one coming out.
Yeah, I'm so
Netflix are
excited.
so, like, good at those trilogy things where, like do you remember
Mhm.
there was also that Prince
Oh,
one where
yes.
it's the one woman that went to interview or,
Yeah,
like, work with him
yeah.
or something like that, and then that
Mhm.
was a trilogy where they came out back to back to back. This
Yeah.
one's coming out back to back to back, so I don't know what else is coming,
Yeah, I
like,
don't know, I love Netflix holiday, like,
yeah.
rom-coms.
They're
Have you
so
seen Love
cheesy.
Hard?
Yeah, so I literally just finished it yesterday because
Uh-huh.
I watched the first bit and then, like, I literally left the last half an hour and then finished it the next day.
Mhm.
That was quite good. I actually preferred was it last year, I think there was the one with, Emma Roberts that came out that was like
Oh,
the
yeah.
Holidate or something like
Holiday.
that.
I
I
love that
preferred
one.
that because that was a bit more, like, funny, like, a bit more
Mhm.
comedy, I think, personally,
Yeah,
and I
no,
yeah, and
I
the whole
agree.
catfish thing
Yeah, I was
sometimes can ugh.
yeah, no, I agree. I feel like Holiday was, like, more, like, actually, like, funny,
Yeah,
and then I feel like Love Hard, it was really cute. I feel like it was, like, really silly, you know?
yeah,
Like, that was, like,
yeah.
kind of vibe. It was, like, more silly, but I thrive off of, like, holiday movies like that.
Yeah, see, I don't usually like rom-coms in general. There's a
Mhm,
couple that I'll watch, like the really like the 90s ones,
mhm.
just for like the vibes, but 2000s, like more recent ones, I don't really watch. If it's holiday themed, all of a sudden I'm like down for it. I'm like,
All about
yes,
it.
give it to me.
I love that.
Lisa's scared. Ah.
Same.
You
Same.
guys live I feel like you, since you moved, now live a lot closer to, like, everyone.
Yeah, I was gonna say, where do you live, Zach? I forget. I think me and Zach talked about it, but I
Oh,
don't
he lives
remember.
in okay, this
North
sounds really
Carolina?
stalkerish. I
South
think he lives
Carolina?
in Virginia or something like
Oh,
that. I think I remember
Virginia.
him saying, yeah.
Okay.
But, like,
Yes.
it's all the same
It's all
area.
right there. Yeah. Me and Valisa live really close. We live like hours away from
Yeah.
each other.
Because I remember her what was it, like, she messaged or something saying when she was going to, like, the shop that was near
Oh,
you,
yeah,
the
yeah.
bookshop. I was like, if only that was me, like, no one lives in Denmark. The closest I have is literally Leah living in Germany.
Yeah.
I'm like, ugh.
Yeah. I know. It was like so funny. The bookstore she went to is literally across the street from my apartment.
Oh my god, when
Like,
I saw her video where she was, like, filming in there, I was like, I
mhm.
would give anything to be in a shop like that and just to walk
it
around for hours just
It
staring at
is
books.
amazing. It is so big and there's so many books and there's such like amazing prices, but it's like it's overwhelming, honestly. Like
Yeah, I
sometimes I
can
go and
imagine.
I'm like I feel like you have to have like an idea of like what you want because there's just like so much. And people go there like they mean business. They literally have like carts like full of like it's crazy because I think it's like I don't know, maybe it's, like, very, like, famous here in the South, so I think people, like, come from far away
Yeah.
to go to, like, this store because it's, like,
That's
so
fun.
massive,
That's
and
so
it's, like
cool. I wish
like,
I had something like that near
yeah,
me.
like, a massive used bookstore, but
Do you know, when I was younger, like, there was loads of different places that I wanted to live in. None of
mhm.
them being Denmark, by the way. Can I just say that? This was not in not on the card. But, like, particularly in the US, it was, like, New York, and then it was, like,
Mhm,
California, and then I was like, "No, I don't really like it when it's too hot and too many people
mhm.
and blah, blah, blah." And then I stopped really wanting to live in the US when I got more into the US politics and, like, the medical system in
Yeah,
particular. I was like, "Do I really wanna add to that?" And blah, blah, blah. But
yeah,
now, particularly because whenever it's the holidays, like I said to you earlier, like
yeah.
before, whenever it's holidays and I see people, like, decorating in the US, I'm like, "I wish I lived in an area like that." But also because of books, it just seeing
Mhm.
people's videos where they're in bookstores makes me really wanna move, and I'm like, "Ah, I don't know," but I can't regardless. I'm
Yeah,
just sat here, like, waiting 10 years'
yeah.
time, and I'll be able to do whatever I want.
Yeah, no, I feel like it's, like, what anywhere where there's, like, pros and cons to,
Yeah.
like, living anywhere. Um, yeah, I always think that. I just feel like, American culture is, like, so strong, like, in things
Yeah,
like that, like,
yeah,
I don't know, it's very much a very prevalent thing here that it's, like, so interesting because I feel like, I mean, like, typical American ignorance, it's, like, until I started my booktube and I really started, like, interacting with people from, like, other countries, and I'm like, "Oh my god, it is so different in America than it is in, like, other countries," you know?
mm.
And it's like
Yeah,
you
it's
don't really
yeah,
think about that, like and it's so different because yeah, even, like, friends that I have, like, in the UK or, like, you or, like, Leah in Germany, I'm like, everything is so different. And I have, like,
yeah.
friends in, like, Australia, and I'm like, it's wild.
Did you know even just moving from the UK to Denmark, it was so
Mhm,
different, and it's
mhm,
not even like a physical thing because I think ultimately if you sort of grabbed yourself and dropped yourself in any place in the West, for the most part, it would look very similar to like everywhere else. It's when you
mhm,
see like the way people act and stuff like that. Like I
mhm,
was saying, like when we were messaging, and I was saying how if I said to someone, "Oh, I've read like so and so many books this
mhm,
year," no one cares because here we've got this like thing of you're not better than anyone else. So
mhm.
why would you try and make it seem as if you're like the shit when you really
Yeah,
aren't? So
yeah.
I've just got to a point where I'm like, I won't talk about myself because no one
Yeah.
gives a shit.
That's
But it's
so
just
funny.
yeah.
It's like the complete opposite in America. Everyone's trying to one up everybody all the time, and I'm literally like, "Absolutely fuck off."
Right. Just he lives on the border.
Mm. Oh, in Virginia? By the border?
Yeah, yeah,
Honestly,
by the yeah,
my
Tennessee border, yeah.
my geography is atrocious, especially, like, being from California. I feel like, oh, when you're on the West Coast because the West Coast is basically just made up of, like, 3 massive states,
Yeah.
like, you don't care about anything,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
past, like, your state border, you know what I mean? So, like, when I moved here, I was literally shocked. I think Tennessee is like connected to like 5 different states or something like
It's so
that.
like small and like flat.
Yes, and in the middle.
Yeah.
And I'm just like I was shocked. There's like it's just I don't know geography. That's why it's like Virginia. I'm like, cool. Couldn't tell you how far that
I
is.
know, I probably know it better than you because I can
Probably.
actually see on a map where everything is
Mhm.
because at some point in my life I had nothing else to do, so I learned the
Yeah.
50 states, even though
I
but
mean,
I
I learned
actually
it. I don't remember it.
you don't remember it yet. I listened to what's it called? My Favorite Murder, the podcast. If you've heard of that.
Mhm.
Yeah. And there
What
was one
podcast?
episode, My Favorite Murder.
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
Yes, there
Love
was
My
one
Favorite Murder.
episode where one episode where one of them got something wrong and was talking about it was like in New Jersey, but she accidentally said that there was something in like a state like Ohio or something or
Mhm.
Pennsylvania or something close. And then she basically made a mistake because she thought like when she heard someone saying that they were going to another city, she presumed oh, it must be within the same state because it takes
Mhm.
so long to get to another city because obviously
Uh-huh.
they're in California because like when you're in California you don't go any
Nothing
other
else
like
exists.
go and go to any other state.
No, okay, I this is my favorite fun fact because I literally looked it up and I thought it was so crazy because when I lived in Seattle, like we drove from Seattle like or from San Diego like to Seattle and it takes 9 hours to drive through the entirety of like England, like the southernmost part of England to the
Okay, yeah.
Scottish border. It takes 9
Yeah.
hours. It takes 13 hours to drive through California alone.
Okay, do you wanna hear something? I think if you went on a diagonal, it takes no more than 6 hours to get from one end to the other of Denmark.
Yeah,
It's like
insane.
literally
It's
yeah.
crazy, and, like, I watch Love Island, and I'm over here listening to these people being like, "Oh, like, they like, he lives, like, over here and, like, so far, how are we gonna, like, make the distance work?" I'm like, "He lives, like, 2 hours away." That's like people in California, like, live in, like, San Diego, and they'll, like, work in LA. You know what I mean? Like, and that's,
Yeah,
like, 2 hours away, and they'll just drive it. Like, it's so crazy to me like, how different it is because it's like I would casually drive 3 hours away on, like, any given day, and people in other countries are like, "Absolutely not, I would never do that in my life."
yeah. Well, yeah. It is weird because California is, like, basically the size of countries, big
Mhm,
countries, bearing in
mhm.
mind, so quite yeah, I don't if I live next to a book I mean, I have, like, this intense fear of spending money, but I also wanna buy things, so I'm constantly like,
That's how I am. That's why I don't spend my money because I go and I literally will have, like, a pile of books in my hand, and I'm like, "No, I can't buy this, I'm gonna be broke," and then I, like, put everything
Yeah.
So, that's definitely why. Oh,
She's probably
hello,
gone by
Steph.
now. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Steph, for
Thank you
coming
for stopping
anyway.
by. Why are you in the oh, wait, I can answer that, but I'm not gonna answer it for you because I'm not you.
I just moved because of my sister. She got a job transfer, so I came here with her because I wasn't gonna go back home to San Diego,
Is that
and I
the
was
reason
like,
that
why
you
not?
moved to Seattle to begin with then?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. It was just like, she just applied, and, like, I wanted to live in Seattle, I, like, really liked Seattle,
Yeah.
and, like, me and my sister are so close anyway, and, like, it was, like, one of those things where I'm like, I was so young well, I'm still young, it wasn't that long ago, it was, like, a year ago that we moved, like, I don't
Back in
yeah,
the
it was
day.
back in the day, but, like, I was like, "I'm young, like, I this job I have is fine, but it's not, like, this, like, mind-blowing career that I want," you know?
Yeah.
So, I was like, "Why not?" And so I moved with her,
Yeah. No,
and
that
then we
is
moved here.
really, really cool. I wish that like every day I wish that I wasn't the oldest sibling because it's like having to watch my I mean, it's great watching my siblings grow up, but I also
Mhm.
kind of hate it because they used to be so cute and now they're just like, ugh.
Now they're annoying you.
Now they're just teenagers and like one
Yeah.
9-year-old who thinks that she's a teenager. But whenever I see, because what's her name on YouTube? Gabby, I think her name is Gabby Reeds. Um,
Mhm,
and she lives with her sister. She's the older sibling, but like they live together. And I'm like,
mhm.
whenever I watch their vlogs together, I'm like, why can't I want to live with my sister? And
Yeah.
I asked my sister, bearing in mind she's 13, so she could change her mind, but I was like,
Mhm.
in the future, would you like to move to the city I live in and live in the same apartment as me? She went, I'll move to the same city as you.
That is so funny.
I was like, what a bitch. Also, the same as
Listen,
I
she's
literally.
savage though.
Yeah. And also, one time I was like, I really want to go to New York. Carla, do you want to go to New York with me? I want to go to New York.
I'm dead.
It's like,
She's
okay,
like,
thanks.
not sure with you.
Thanks. Yeah.
That's so funny.
Yeah. She's also the one that, like, when I got my hair cut, she was like,
Mhm.
"Yeah, you look like that guy on TikTok that does the berries and cream dance." I was like, "Okay, thanks."
Stop.
And then she
You
and then we
don't even
went
look like that.
no, but it was funny, but it's also, like, so random. And
Mhm.
then we were watching Halloween, like, the most recent Halloween movie that came out, me, my dad, my brother, and her. We go to the cinema. There's this really, like intense scene. Someone's
Mhm.
dying, yeah, and then you know the guy in. Have you watched the third season of You?
Yes.
Yes, you know the guy that's like the 19-year-old, but he's not actually 19. He's like
Mhm.
older than Victoria Pedretti.
Yeah.
Um, he is in that movie, but he has long hair, like the same length as mine. And my
Uh-huh.
sister pointed it out to my dad. She whispered to him. She went, "That's the same haircut as Chloe," and they were laughing as someone was being murdered. I was
Oh
like,
no.
okay. I just saw them laughing and I was like, I knew what it was. I knew that she pointed it out. I was like, okay,
I
okay,
feel
fine.
like as me being the younger sister, like I feel like it's the younger sister's job to literally bully their older sister because I bully my sister like constantly and I'm just always talking shit to her. And it's just fun. We just have to be like menaces.
Yeah, she should be paid for it. That's how good she is. Like, I could not, she's gotten all the, like, I can't speak like that to anyone. I feel like bad.
Mhm.
She just does it all the time.
That's so
Like
funny.
I was so because I'm the oldest sibling, I was also always so careful about swearing around my parents.
Mhm.
Then my sister just strolls in as like a 12-year-old, just like all the words,
Yeah.
everything, throwing it at everyone.
That's so funny. I love that.
Yeah, it was in my, I think I mentioned it in my most recent video, and then Zach kind of commented saying it was really funny. So I'm glad I make people laugh. Do you ever have things in your videos where you're like, I think this is funny, but I might also just look like an idiot?
All the time,
Yeah.
like, constantly, or, like, I'll, like, keep something because I think it's funny. I mean, because
Yeah.
I do have to say, I find myself hilarious. I think I'm very
Oh,
funny.
same. I
So,
find myself really funny as well, but I'm like, do other people, do
that's
they
why
just
but I'm
think
like,
I'm
I feel like everyone else is
self-obsessed?
like, "Mm,
I think
what?"
you're funny.
Thank you. I think you're funny as well.
Thank you very
No,
much.
but I sometimes I'll, like, keep stuff in, yeah, and I'm like, "Oh, yeah, like, this is funny, whatever," and then, like, I'll like, upload it, and I'm like, "Oh my god, I wanna take it down. I wanna, like, delete it." You know what I mean? Like, and I'm just very stressed.
Yes,
Ah,
I'll take that.
thank
I
you.
used to when I first started making videos, I was, like, so careful. I was like, I don't want people because I'm like, I want people to think I'm funny, but
Mhm,
also I don't want people to think that I look like an idiot, like
mhm,
an absolute idiot. Like, but so I would always cut things out and
mhm,
then end up with a video that I thought was really bland. And I was like, where
mhm.
am I supposed to like, what am I supposed to do? I don't want to look like an idiot. So it's like, you have this choice. Do you want to look like, potentially look like an idiot, or do you want to look boring? And I think idiot sometimes is a bit better than boring. So go
100%.
with that.
100%. I was the same way too. I was, like, always cutting stuff out, or, like, I feel like even things where I'm just like, "Oh, like, does that make me sound dumb?" Like, I don't wanna sound dumb, but also I'm
Yeah.
like, "You know what? Fuck it."
Yeah, but you know what?
It's
That's the
fine.
thing is, I would always like listen to people talking, and like the things that sound dumb or whatever don't necessarily sound dumb, but they give character to someone. And if someone else does it, I'm
Mhm,
like, oh yeah, that's really cool. They're really funny. I like them.
mhm,
If it's me, I'm like, oh no, you can't be. I think because I built my whole personality off of being quite like articulate or whatever.
mhm,
So whenever it's like I'm trying, like I never used slang when I was like younger. I would never
mhm,
use slang. I sound like in certain contexts I can sound very posh. So then when
mhm.
I'm adding things in, I'm like that sounds really different, like
Yeah,
really like weird. Yeah,
yeah. I think you're overthinking it.
yeah. I think we're all overthinking, guys. The moral of the story is say whatever you want. As
Yeah.
long as it's not, like,
Disrespectful.
things disrespectful, racist,
Mhm.
homophobic, like, we don't want
Mhm.
any of those things, but, like,
Mhm.
if it makes yourself look like an idiot, then that's fine. Just don't
Yeah.
make anyone else look like an idiot.
100%. Oh,
Velisa is
thank you.
also very funny. I think everyone that is within this space right now,
Yes.
this, like,
Funny.
metaphysical space, we're all
Love it.
funny. Everyone's funny in their own
Yeah.
way.
I thank you. I think Felisa makes me die laughing with
Yeah,
all of her vlogs, and I wish that I could write Felisa like a 30-page long comment because I watch her vlogs and I want to comment on every single thing that she says, or like
yeah.
even like when she does her B-roll and she does her little commentary, she's so
Oh my
funny.
god, yeah, I love her
I
most
love the
recent one
commentary.
when she went to Boston and she was sitting and reading, and
Oh,
you could just see, like, the little but it's really, like, vibey, and the way that the
mhm,
text sits really fits the aesthetic and everything. It's just
100%.
yeah,
10 out of 10 editing, 10 out of 10 content. I'm
right.
a Velisa stan.
Are we ready to read? I don't know how long we've been
Yes.
talking for. I'm almost certain it is longer than 15 minutes,
Definitely longer than 15 minutes, but it's
but
fine.
right. Oh, wait, I forgot to ask you, how long, like, do you have anything you need to do? Are you good to go for another, like, hour and a
Mhm.
half-ish? Cool.
Yeah, I can do this for as long.
Yeah, I mean, theoretically, I could do this for as long as possible. Maybe I'll just for the sake of my sanity,
Yeah.
cap it at, like, 9 o'clock or something. Actually, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know. We'll
yeah.
just see what happens.
We'll see how we're feeling.
If I end up sounding like a zombie, then
Yeah.
that's when we know to stop it.
Okay, perfect.
Just wanna add this. Lisa is blushing.
Aw.
Yes. I feel like we this whole thing is just us, like, trying to make
A
everyone
love
feel good about
fest,
themselves. So,
literally.
if
Well,
anyone
I'm just
needs if anyone
I was
needs a
gonna
nice
say,
compliment.
PSA, if anyone wants an ego boost, freaking talk to me because I love complimenting everybody. I just love telling everyone all of the
Yeah.
wonderful things about them. It's
Yeah,
like
it's
one of
so
my favorite
nice to
things ever.
compliment other people, but I can't, like, take a compliment for shit, like,
You
I
need
can't
to learn to take a compliment. Just say thank you. You don't even have to like believe it or like you know what I mean? Like just say, "Oh my god, thank you." Because I used to be like that. I used to be so like unable to take a compliment. And then now I'm
mm.
like, "You know what? Thank you so much. That is so nice." And then you're just
I'm
like,
better it depends what it is, like, there's some things where it's, like, to do with my if it's to do with my personality,
"Mhm.
for a lot of the time I could take it. If
Mhm.
someone like, whenever my dad turns around, like parents do, and they're like, "Oh, you look nice today." I'm like,
Mhm."
"Really? Like, what? Oh, it's just because 'cause you're my parent." Like, parents always think
No.
their children look nice.
No. You know, parents are a lot meaner than you think.
Mm,
They could also be assholes. So, you should just take it.
right, let's, are we ready?
Yes.
Cool.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Can you still hear me?
Yes, I can still hear you.
How do I check?
Yeah, no, you're fine. I'm trying to figure out how many pages I read because I can't do mental math. Wow, how did I read more pages than last time?
Magic.
I know. I'm like,
Let
juicy.
me
Not by a lot, but
trying to remember which chapter I started on.
this book is stressing me out. Like, I am fully stressed. Oh no. Wait, hold on. Let me try to fix my lighting really quick. Hold on.
Okay. I thought it was fine, but
No, it's
right, where was I?
because
Fun.
I have like my window right here. Do you see like where is it? Like that? It's because of like where the sun is and stuff. So I tried to move my
Okay.
blinds, but it didn't work. So I'm just gonna have light on my face.
It's fine. It's still better than mine.
Let me see.
How many pages did you read?
35.
Okay, I read exactly 30 because I mean I love it when it's exactly like on a
Mhm.
round number because then I don't have to really work anything out.
Yeah.
So that was good. And I think I've got like 30 pages left.
Mhm.
So
Like and then you're done with the book?
and then I'm done.
Oh my god.
It's
That's so
really,
good.
it's like honestly, if I work
Is
out, because I've only been reading this whilst I've been either watching or doing sprints.
mhm.
So I think, if I'm not wrong, I think that it was like 2 hours worth of sprints yesterday,
Mhm.
and then the hour that we've done now.
Wow.
So like no longer than 4 hours to, and I feel like I'm reading this quite slowly, or at least I was in the beginning
Yeah.
because of the way it's written. So, but saying that, it's only like 240 pages. It's so small.
Mhm.
But
Juicy. I didn't know it was so short.
yeah, but it's also it's so weird because it's just nothing like a thriller I've ever read before. Like it is honestly, it feels really slow, but it also feels quick at the same time. And it's like
Mhm.
nothing's really happening. It's not like, because when I heard the synopsis, I was like, okay, so it's going to be these people knocking on the door, and then
Mhm.
you're like, oh, are these people really like who they say they are? Who they say they are? Do they have ulterior motives? Are they going to try and kill
Mhm.
me? And it's just nothing like that.
Nothing like
But
that.
obviously, I'm not going to say like what it really is because I
Do you
feel like
like it
going into
though?
it. I honestly, I don't know. It really depends on what the ending is. It's really going to be like if it's a really great ending and
Mhm.
everything comes into perspective, then it will be awesome. Because I feel like there's some books that do that where it's really not until the very end that you
Yeah.
know.
Mhm.
But because it's left it with so many explanations because it's just these weird things happening, and because they're in like a really remote setting, they have
Mhm.
no understanding of it whatsoever. So
Mhm.
I swear to God, if this doesn't explain it, I'm gonna throw the book. I'm gonna be like, that was not worth the money.
Yeah.
um, but how did you find your little bit of reading?
It was good. Ugh, there's just like more stuff that happened and I'm stressed and I just like don't know how to cope with this. And it's just going to get worse. It's just going to get worse. Because the thing
Yeah.
that Felisa told me that she thought was going to happen, it happened and I'm stressed about it. Cuz
Okay.
when she told me that, I was like, "Oh my god, I can't unsee it. It's gonna happen," and that stresses me out. And now I am just stressed.
Oh my god, that just makes me want to read it. I wish it's one of those books where it's like the only when I was in the UK, I'd go into a shop, it would always be there. Every single shop. Like in the airport, it was there. You
Mhm.
know those certain books that are just everywhere.
Yeah.
Oh, my brother, no, my dad's FaceTiming me. I can't speak to him. Um, what was I going to say? It was just everywhere, and I was like contemplating picking up one of her books,
Mhm.
but I was just like, oh no, I don't need it. I'll get something else instead.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I don't really want to read it now.
Yeah,
This,
honestly, I feel like I'm only, like, halfway into it. I think I'm, like, 52% or something. Um, like, I feel like this is gonna be a 5 star. Like,
okay,
I
yeah,
can't imagine, like, just, like, the way it's been going, and, like, I know it's just gonna get worse and it's gonna be even more stressful, but, like, I know it's gonna be a 5 star, like, for sure.
yeah.
At least.
So I'm just gonna ask because I know Zach said that he's read it. What did
Mhm.
you give it, Zach? Also, Valisa, if you know roughly kind of what your rating is going to be or like what you're feeling at the
Mhm.
moment, because
Yeah.
yeah, oh my god, it sounds like. I mean, the thing is, whenever an author can write a book that gives you like this feeling, like this
Mhm.
actual physical reaction, you know that
Yeah.
it's done well.
Yeah, and I really like her writing style too because I feel like it's very easy to follow and like it's
Mm,
a very quick read. You know, like it reads very fast. Oh
another
yeah,
5 stars,
five
easy five
stars.
stars. I'm
Yeah.
just gonna go back to the to where see, okay, I don't know if you saw this.
I
He's
did.
really I think it's my brother, but I don't actually know, and it creeps me out because it's
That
that
is
thing of
so
like,
funny.
why the hell would he be writing this? Like, I could the thing is he's commented on my videos, like, really stupid things before, but this is just, like, so random. It's so weird. But then I was like, "What if it's not my brother?" And
Yeah.
it's, like, some weird but it's got exactly the name of my brother, or it's like someone's hacked it or something. I'm like, "Ah,
Mhm.
okay."
That's so funny.
Yeah, and then I tried to call him to see what he was doing, and he wouldn't answer, so I don't know. Lisa read another 31 pages. Very good. Yep, Zach keeps on mentioning this, and yeah, that's so cool. I don't even
That's so
what
exciting.
step is masters like? Do you have to have both a like? Actually, I don't know what the different. Do you know what the different all the different
Yeah.
steps are? Because it's
Yeah,
different
so
here.
you get your bachelor's degree first, so that's like
Yeah.
your
Okay,
normal,
that's the
like,
same as
4-year
here.
university, and
Yeah.
then most master's programs are, like, 2 to 3 years, um,
Ah, okay. So it's
and
after
then
bachelor. Yeah.
yeah, it's
Okay.
after bachelor's, but
Because
I I was gonna get my master's, but I was like,
yeah, but
it's
it's
a
like
lot."
unless you're gonna work in a very, very specific like
Mhm. Yeah, it's
realm,
very
isn't that kind of why you
specific.
would? Yeah.
It's very specific,
I feel
yeah.
like there's so many different like degrees you can get because here, I mean, at least specifically for me doing medicine, usually it would be like one long degree, or at least it is in the UK. In
Mhm.
Denmark, it's like split into a bachelor and then like a candidate degree.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
and then some kind of specializing for like 6 years or something.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, there's just,
like
like, so
12
much
years.
different schooling for
Basically,
yeah.
like, I'll spend longer studying, like, doing a is it, like, tertiary, I guess, like, that kind of stuff,
Mhm.
than I did in the whole of my school, like, actual school. So,
Yeah, it's too much.
the
Yeah,
book should
that's
be stressing you, it's gonna get worse.
I don't like
Usually, you're
that.
like, "It's fine, it's gonna get better, it's all good." No, it's gonna get worse.
I'm that makes me stressed. I, like, just feel very, like, emotional already, like,
Mm,
reading it, like, I bought it. So, before I had, like, like, EPUB for it, and I
yeah.
was just, like, gonna just read like that, but I like having it when I like a book, I like to have it on my Kindle so that I can actually, like, annotate it, and I
Mm.
literally got through, I think, like, 8 pages, and I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna buy this because I literally need to annotate it," and I've been annotating so much stuff. Like, I should have just bought it physically. at
Yeah.
this point, honestly, but stress.
Valisa says between I feel like is it just me? Valisa and also Steph, I feel like they seem to, like, rate things a bit lower than I usually would.
Mhm. I feel
I feel like
like
they're more
I wish
critical.
I could be like that.
Oh,
I
me
wish
too,
I
but
could
then I'm
be more,
also
like,
like, I feel bad if
critical.
I give it I feel really bad if I give a book lower than, like, what I think it should get, just to be
Yeah.
critical.
Yeah, I always say, like, my ratings, I rate with my heart, you know what I mean?
Mm,
If I'm
exactly.
like, I could have, like, a five-star book that, like, is horrible compared to, like, another five-star book that's, like,
Yeah,
objectively good, but I'm like, "No, they're both 5 stars because I loved both of them," you know? And, like,
yeah,
I don't know, they make me feel a certain way or something, so, like, I feel with this one, I'm like, I'm already just feeling so much that it's like, that's already, like, a 5 star for me because,
yeah.
like, I'm so invested, you know?
No, yeah, I'm the same because, like, anytime I read any critique of it, I'm like,
Mhm,
"That's totally valid." Like, most people don't give it more
mhm.
than, like, a 4 star because you kind of have to deduct stars for the fact that it's so long.
Yeah.
But I always give it 5 stars because I love the story so much, even though there's
Yeah.
bits that I can't like, that I don't need, I'm like, "Ah,
Mhm.
I love it anyway."
Yeah, yeah, I mean, I feel like you can give a book 5 stars and, like, it doesn't necessarily mean, like, the book is perfect, you know what I
Mm,
mean? Like, you can understand, like, issues that other people have with it, but it's like, but for me, it's a 5 star, you know?
yeah.
I feel like Steph never gives 5 stars also.
No, yeah, do you know
I
what?
think
I
she's
was
given, like, 1 5 star this year or
Has she
something.
seriously?
I think it's, like, 1 or 2.
Well, it's because I can't remember if it was a wrap up or it was something else. She said how she'd given a book like 4 stars, but the
Mhm.
way she was talking about it
It was like
was
she
like the
loved it.
language I would use for a 5 star, like almost like the
Mhm.
best in the world. Like that's kind of like what I would describe as I think one of the only books where I've ever felt like if I could give more than 5 stars, I would is Evelyn Hugo. And
Mhm.
she describes 4 star books in the same way that I described that
Yeah.
book. And I'm like, what?
Yeah, I know. I literally think in one of her like, I think her very first 5 star book was, like, recently, like, within the last few months, I think.
That's actually crazy.
Yeah, it was her first 5 star of the year, and I was like, I think, like, the 2nd or 3rd book I read this year, I gave, like, a 5 star or something.
I think the first book that I read, I actually legit think I'm gonna check my because I think the first book that I read was I'm Thinking of Ending Things.
Oh, that's an easy 5 star, though.
Exactly, but
Easy
still,
5 star.
it was like I remember starting it, I was like, or like being halfway through and thinking this is gonna be a
Yeah.
5 star, and then just thinking, wow, it's a bloody great year. It's a lot better than the last year we just
Yeah.
had.
Oh my god, I wanna look too, I wanna see what my first 5 star was. Everybody get on Goodreads, look for your first 5 star of the year.
Or whatever else you use, if you use
Or whatever
Storygraph.
else,
I never
yeah.
got into that other one. I
I
feel like there's so many other
tried.
different ones.
I tried that Storygraph and I'm like, I Goodreads is just so much easier to
Well,
read,
it's
let's
when you're
see.
used to it,
Oh my
like, you're
god,
used to
literally the first
something.
book I read
What?
of the year, I gave 5 stars.
Yeah, same. So mine what was yours?
Mine was, it was a memoir. Do you know the show Crazy Ex-Girlfriend?
Is that the one that's, like, singing?
It's like a musical one, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna try to move. This sun is bothering me. The main girl of that, she
Okay,
had
yeah.
a memoir, and it's called I or what I guess memoir. It's like one of those like collection of essays where it's just like
Yeah.
about other like just things in her life. And it's called I Want to Be Where the Normal People Are by Rachel Bloom.
I like
And
that title.
yeah, and I listened to it on audio and, like, it was just so funny, and it was, like, super quick. I literally read it the very first day of the year. It was, like, a few hours, but it was so funny, and I gave it 5 stars. Very easy. Oh, wait, I
I'm
think Zach
just
is
but yeah,
leaving, yeah.
before he goes, I'm just gonna say goodbye. Also,
Bye, thank you for
he
hanging out.
mentioned how his master's is in
Oh,
counselling.
yeah.
I think it's so cool that he works in
I was gonna
counselling.
say he's, like, a social worker, no? I think he does social work.
Yeah, something like that.
I
And the
should
way
have
that
done that.
whenever he talks about, like, the kids at the school that he works at and just
Mhm.
says, like, "My kids," or, like, "Our kids," in reference to
Mhm.
it is, like, the coolest thing ever.
I know, I love that.
Um, yeah. Oh, and then Belisa said that from Blood and Ash.
Yes.
I
That's
have
a good example, but that one
I
I
still
don't think I
haven't read
gave
it.
5 stars.
Oh, I really wanna read it, but I literally can't find it anywhere, and I think if I do find it anywhere, it's, like, double
Mhm.
the price. and like the shipping takes forever.
Yeah, that's so annoying.
Yeah, I know. It's so stupid. Actually, the first, like, out of the first 4 books that I read this year, I gave 3 of them 5 stars and 1 of them 4 stars.
I know, I was gonna say, I
God.
feel like oh, yeah, I gave the first book I read 5 stars. I read After Spoiler Alert by Olivia Dade, it's like a romance, I gave it 4 stars, and then I read The Survivors by Jane Harper, and I gave that 5 stars.
We're really, there's just like a different way of rating
Yeah,
everything. And then, like, I don't
literally.
know what you're like with the thing I struggle a lot to rate middle grades, especially, like, so I pretty much this year, but also last year as well, I read, like, the entirety of the series of Unfortunate Events series,
Mhm.
and I just struggle so much books like that to, like, give them ratings because 'cause I'm like, they're really, really fun and good, but, like, obviously they're
Yeah,
not quite as good as, like, a really good adult book or whatever, just
yeah,
because the
I
fact that they're not
agree.
written for adults. But I still give them 5 stars because I'm like, the but then I'm also like, well, to compare that to, like, a five-star adult book is, like,
Yeah.
unfair for the adult book, but
Yeah, I agree. I feel like for the most part, I'm pretty like nice with middle grades. Yeah, because I feel like as long as I am entertained or like I enjoy the story and like even sometimes too, I'm like, this deserves like a 4 or 5 star because like I am not the target audience for it, but I'm still enjoying it. You know
yeah.
what I mean? So I'm like, I feel like that too. I'm like, okay, you kind of have to give it a good rating because it's like I'm not meant for this book, but like I'm still thoroughly enjoying my time, you know?
Yeah.
Like that's how I
Mhm.
feel about the Keeper of the Lost Cities series. I've only read the first
Oh,
two,
I
like,
need to
but
read that. There's so many different middle
mhm,
grade series that I really want to get to. There's
mhm.
also what's it called? The Have you heard of the one that's, like, something to do with Morgan Crow? Like, it's kind of Harry
Oh, yes,
Potter-esque. I really wanna
yes,
read that as well.
what is it? It's like Nevermore or
Yeah,
something?
yeah,
I
I
wanna
think
read
that's what
it
it is.
so bad.
Yeah.
I also really wanna read Amari and the Night
Oh my
Brothers.
god, it's so good. It is the way that they describe it in saying that it's kind of like Men in Black, just middle grade, and
Mhm.
instead of like men, it's like a girl at the center.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah, I wanna read it. I think I might read it next month or, like, in January. I
And I
wanna, like
think
sorry, what?
I was just gonna say I think that the second one comes out next year, I think,
Uh-huh.
because the first one came out this year or last year or something.
Yeah, I wanna read it so bad. I wanna, like, save a lot of, like, my really anticipated reads for, like, January so that I hopefully have, like, a really good, like, beginning of the
Yeah.
year.
You kind of just need that after Christmas and New Year's. Everything just
Mhm.
goes bleh.
Yeah,
Like,
100%.
I don't wanna live anymore.
Yeah.
And just use books to, like, make
Cope
you
with
feel
it.
better.
Yeah.
Lisa says we need to read that, so but there's
Yeah.
so many things. There's also, like, the classic middle grade series, like Percy Jackson.
I know, I literally bought the
Oh
box
my
set
god,
because Nikki
seriously.
convinced me because
Oh.
she loved it, and I'm like, "I still have to read that too."
But the thing is I don't even it's, like, it's one thing to know you have to read it when you own it, but when you don't even own it, it's
It's
like,
yeah,
I need money to just drop out of the sky because
literally.
either that or just, like, get into my head, you can just, live with very basic food and have
Yeah,
books instead. Like, don't
literally.
eat anything, don't consume any food, just read books.
You can get by, with not much, but a lot of
Mm.
books.
And Melissa said that the first yeah, see, the
Oh,
thing is I
yeah.
didn't even give Chloe Brown 5 stars. I think I gave it, like, 4 or 4.5, but
Mhm.
Danny and Eve were both definitely 5 stars.
Yeah, that's how I was too. I think I gave you know what? I think I gave Chloe Brown a 5 star when I first read it, but then when I read Danny Brown and Eve Brown, I liked those 2, like, significantly more
Yeah.
that I was like, "Okay, I think I'm gonna lower my rating," and I think then I lowered it to a 4 star because I was
Yeah.
like, I feel like Danny and Eve Brown, like, I can kind of, like, compare them in, like, my enjoyment, but then I feel like Chloe Brown was just, like, a little bit less.
Yeah.
But that series as a
Yeah.
whole is, like, fantastic.
Yeah, it's so good. I think it's kind of a shame because it's always I think for me personally, it was down to the characters because Danny and Eve were both so much more, like, I get, like, almost vivacious, like, bright, bubbly
Yeah, yeah,
characters,
yeah.
whereas Chloe Brown was a bit more Yeah. I mean, the thing is, she's the character that I probably personally see myself more being,
Mhm.
but I'm more, like, drawn towards Danny and Eve, so it was, like, kind
Yeah.
of a shame to, like, be like, "I
Yeah.
don't like you're my least favorite."
Yeah.
But
No,
it's the truth.
I definitely feel that, but I love that book anyway. I loved Red. I love all
Yeah.
3 of the love
They're
interests.
all
I
so
think
great, yeah.
they were all amazing, and I feel like they were all, like, so complimentary to, like, each of the girls
Yeah,
also, like,
yeah,
perfect love it and they're all very different, and I feel like that's really good because I feel like sometimes, like, love interests, they can kind of start to, like, blend into each other,
yeah.
because 'cause they're all, like, have similar traits, but I really liked that they were all, like, super different.
Yeah, also like the kind of topics that it covers as well. I
Mhm.
especially like the fact that in Danny Brown it was what is his name Zafir? No, Zaf or something like that.
Zaf,
The loving yeah.
Zafir. Mhm.
He the fact that it was him that was dealing with anxiety and it
Mhm.
wasn't Danny because there's like it's usually female characters that deal with anxiety. I don't think it's
Yeah.
usually written into like the male perspective. So that was really
Mhm.
interesting. And then obviously the whole thing with like autism.
Mhm.
Um and I can't remember what his name was. The love interest basically
Jacob.
like that's what his name is, Jacob.
Yeah.
Um, how like him and Eve kind of interacting together made her realize stuff about herself,
Mhm.
even though a lot of the time, like you just wouldn't expect that. Because I
Yeah.
think that like the main thing of like people with autism, you think, oh, they're not great with communicating and stuff like that. But the amount that he could communicate towards her and then her
Yeah.
be able to see herself in a different way was really cool.
Yeah. No, I loved that so much. I think I
And they weren't all
cried
perfect.
when I watched
I
I think I
definitely had
cried when I read
I think I had feelings. They should make it into like a trilogy, like a movie trilogy. It would be
I
so good.
I think
Netflix.
I've, like, thought about that so many times. I was like, "This would be the most perfect movie trilogy." Like,
Yeah,
it would be phenomenal because it's, like, funny, like,
yeah,
I feel like the humor is actually really good in these books, and it's just, like, the subplots are so good, and the romance is so good, and it would just be,
yeah,
like, fantastic. Yeah, I agree, I love that too.
yeah.
They all weren't, like,
They
perfect.
felt like real people.
Mhm.
And they're not like because sometimes you read characters that are just a little bit too perfect. You're like, I don't want anything to do with you. You annoy me. I don't like
Yeah.
perfect people. When they're real, you're like, I do actually want to be
Mhm.
with them. I'd love a holiday. Oh
Oh
my
my
god, could you
god.
imagine that? That would be
That would
so
be
good. If they like
so good.
their family, and then was it the grandma that was,
Yeah,
and then the
Gigi.
parents, and then they, and then oh, and Gigi's girlfriend,
Yes,
and then they all go to like a little ski lodge kind of thing,
I
and
would love that.
like I could just imagine like Eve would try to ski and then end up breaking her leg or
Yeah.
something like that.
Oh my god, that
That'd
would
be
be,
so
like,
good.
so fun.
Yeah.
Felisa, you need to, pitch that to Talia Hibbert. Send her a
Yeah.
DM.
That would oh my god, that'd be so good.
I am so excited for all of, like, the holiday romances, though.
Yeah, I don't usually, like, buy books. I like to buy books and then wait a bit before I read them so that I feel
Mhm,
like I've had them on my TBR for a while, but
mhm.
obviously with, like, when it's seasonal reads and stuff like that, there's so
Yeah,
many that I want to get, but then I'm also like, I don't like buying books and then reading them straight away because I feel like
yeah.
they've just disappeared, but I don't know. They're I'm gonna try and persuade my parents to fund me some money at some point.
Yes, I think you should.
Well, I mean, because listen, not to, like, brag or anything like that, I mean, it's not even bragging. Sometimes my, oh, wait.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Just
please,
slide right in there,
right out a
Felisa.
pitch.
Yeah, just
Or
pitch it to her.
we could all do a video together on like,
Oh
and
my
then
god, yeah.
record it and send
We
it to
can
her and
we
just
can do an
describe
outline.
it. Yeah, exactly. Or we could just basically write the book and then send it to her and then
Yeah.
she makes it better.
Yeah, and she actually, like, makes it good because I would not be able to write a book for the life of me
Yeah,
whatsoever.
anyway. I'm just gonna
Mhm.
skip over what I was talking about before because it was stupid anyway. I forgot to bring this up that Percy Jackson seems to be a bit hit or miss
Oh,
for
no,
people. I
yeah.
feel like I'm gonna really like it because of the
Mhm,
mythology. Like there was
mhm.
a point where it's such a shame I didn't read Percy Jackson growing up because literally at the age where it would have been perfect, I got really obsessed with Greek mythology
Mhm.
because I thought we were learning about it at school and learning about, especially like what all the different gods stood for and
Yeah.
stuff like that, and like what their thing was.
Yeah. I think in 5th grade, I read the first 2 books as, like, part of, like, a little, like, book club thing that
Mm,
we were doing, like, in class, but I have, like, 0 recollection of them, like, at all. So, I'm excited to reread or, like, to read them, but yeah, I've heard the same thing. I feel like people either, like, really, really love it or they're
yeah,
just, like, not vibing with it.
yeah.
I don't know. We'll have to see.
And isn't Disney doing like, is it a show or something? I think Disney are doing an adaptation
I
of
think
it.
so. I think they're doing
Yeah,
an I think it's a show, yeah. Which I hope that it does well because I feel like that would have been such a good movie franchise, and, like, I don't know
yeah.
why the first movie did so bad.
I haven't even watched it. Have you seen it?
I think I watched it in, like, movie theaters, like, when it came out,
Oh, okay.
but I don't know. I have, like, the worst memory ever.
Yeah, so do I.
I don't
Honestly,
remember
like
anything.
it's a wonder why I can like how I can manage to do monthly wrap ups and stuff like that. Because
Mhm.
literally, I can't remember anything. So I'm just sitting there like, I liked this book. I
Yeah,
don't know
no.
why.
Literally, when I do wrap-ups, like, I'll have to have, like, Goodreads open, and, like, sometimes I'll, like, read the synopsis because 'cause I'm like, "I forgot what happens in this book, how do I describe this?"
Yeah. Ooh, yeah, I don't. I think
Mhm.
the only holiday themed book that I've ever read was Let It Snow. Is that what it's called? The one that's like John Green, someone else, and someone else. There's three authors, and they
Oh,
write
yes,
three
yes, yes.
separate stories.
Uh-huh.
And one of them is an author that did some like famous books, I think, but I can't remember who it is.
Mhm.
I
I
want to say
don't
there's someone
remember.
called Maureen. Oh
Yeah.
wait, because he was 16 and not 11. See, this is like casting people when they're way too old to play
Mhm.
the age. But like this isn't even casting. I'm pretty like I'm guessing the character was made to be 16, which
Yeah,
doesn't make any sense anyway.
that's true. That's true,
Yeah,
though. Why would they do that? I
I
didn't
don't
even think
know.
about that. That's very strange.
I don't know. Maybe when did it come out? Because I'm thinking it came out
Mm,
around the was it like roughly in the time where it was like a transition from like lots of really young Disney stars to like not so many Disney stars, and that
yeah,
it was a bit iffy casting younger people.
yeah, it was 2010.
Okay, I have no concept of time.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, listen, we love Logan Lerman. He is hot.
Sounded better than 11. Yeah, to be honest, that kind of yeah, that
That's
makes more
true.
sense. But also, 11-year-olds. I mean, 2010, not so much. But like 10 years before that, 11-year-olds could do a lot of stuff. Like
That's
nowadays,
true.
11-year-olds aren't allowed to do anything because we know of the fact that there are bad people that exist in the world.
Mhm.
Before then, everyone was so ignorant. It was
Yeah.
like, oh, you want to just walk around in the street, say hi to some people you don't
Yeah.
know. That's fine.
100%, 100%. Like, children were just running amok.
Yep. And
That's
now,
funny.
I mean, when I
Mhm.
was growing up, I didn't like, there was no way I was going out doing things by myself. I mean, I
Mhm.
did actually kind of, like, I ran around, but like, nothing bad happened to me. The worst thing that happened was like I sprained my ankle or something like that.
Yeah, I was
But
gonna
I
say
wasn't
I
like,
or no, keep
well,
going.
no, you don't worry. I didn't really have anything else bad.
Well, no, I was just gonna say, like, I, like, would do that also, but, like, not until I was, like, 14, like, 13,
Yeah, I
14.
was a little
Like,
bit.
11 is
Uh,
really
mm,
young.
I can't even remember. I know I was. It was definitely after I'd like transitioned in school, so I think I was
Mhm,
probably about 12 or 13.
mhm,
And I had it was a very short amount of time because then like when I was old enough to start going out by myself with my friends, then like a
mhm.
couple of years later we moved and then I didn't want to go anywhere, so
Yeah,
I basically didn't have a childhood, but or not a childhood, a teenagehood.
yeah. That's so funny.
Yeah. It's great to think back on all the things that I could have done and I just didn't. That's why it's so weird seeing like my brother and sister do things that I just never did
Mhm.
because I'm like I cannot relate in the slightest.
Yeah,
Um,
that's so funny. I know. I always think that, like, cause like, how you were saying too, like, earlier that, like your sister will like cuss and stuff in front of your parents, and, like you never used to. Like it's so funny because like that's so true because that happens with like younger siblings because it was like that with me and my sister. Like my sister would
Yeah.
get so mad at me because she was like, "You get to do all these things like that I wasn't
Yeah.
able to do at your age," and like all this stuff. And I'm like, that's a perk to being the youngest child. Well, because by the
Yeah.
time it's the youngest child, and like I feel like your parents are just so much more like, whatever. You know what I mean? Like the first child,
Yeah.
they're like so concerned and they're like, oh, like how do we parent? How do we do this and everything? And then I feel like by the time you are at the youngest child, it's like whatever. The other two are alive and fine. It's fine.
Yeah. Well, it's like in regards to like swearing, it's stupid that my dad was ever like wanted people not to swear because
Mhm.
he swears the most. Like he
Yeah.
literally, honestly, that's the reason why we do it is because of
Mhm.
him. But at the
That's
same,
so
so it's
funny.
so funny that I was so worried about that when I just knew
Mhm.
how he was. Like the language he uses, he's not as bad now. When we
Mhm.
used to live in the UK, I think it was more common because that's kind of just a part of the way people speak. And
Yeah.
he was a lot more stressed, so he was just like swearing all the time. Now, but yeah,
That's so funny.
yeah,
Should we do
right,
one
yeah. Should we
more
do
sprint?
one? Yeah, one final sprint and
Yeah.
then sort of round it off.
Yeah. That sounds good. Cause I'm like, I gotta eat something because I haven't eaten anything today yet.
Because you've not even like had any breakfast.
No. But it's
Fair.
fine.
Actually, to be honest, sometimes if I like am not doing anything, the only times that I usually really think I should eat is if I'm leaving the house because I always get scared that if I don't eat, I'm gonna faint or something, and then
That
cause
is
like a
so funny.
problem.
I'm done. All right, perfect. I know
Right.
I'm
See
like I
you
need
in a
this
bit.
tea. I need the tea of this book. I'm stressed. Hello.
Right, is it working? Can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah, I can
Cool.
hear you.
Awesome.
Yay.
How was your reading?
Good. It's this book is so good, and you know what? They're making it into a movie, and
Oh, okay.
I cannot wait to see this as a movie. Like, I think this is gonna be
Cool.
like, if they get like good casting and like
Yeah,
everything, like this movie will be like phenomenal.
yeah.
I'm
Oh my
like
god,
really
that's
excited.
like one of the best things in the world is when a book gets made into a movie and they do it perfectly. Like
Mhm.
honestly, there's so few like there's so little times that that's actually happened. Like there's
Mhm.
very few like times where they've actually been able to nail it with the like adaptation. So,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. No.
I feel like it's getting better. I feel like there's recently been a lot more like good adaptations
Mhm.
than there usually is.
Yeah, I
So,
agree. So I'm excited. How was yours? You finished your book then, right?
yeah, I literally just as the timer
Oh,
went
really?
off finished
Oh
it.
my god, that's perfect.
I don't have a clue what happened. There's like no explanation. It was just
Oh,
it's
so then not the good ending you were
I
hoping
don't like,
for?
but I don't know. I'm just confused. Like, I don't understand. I'm gonna have to like the kind of book where I'll have to look into like what have other people said. I'm hoping there's some
Yeah.
videos explaining it. I think there's also like a little section at the end where it's like in conversation with the author.
Mhm.
So I don't know if he explains something. I don't actually think there's any questions about like what the book means or anything. But it
Mhm.
literally just there's like no big twist, there's no big reveal. It just
Yeah.
I'm confused
Oh
basically.
no. So then what do you think your rating's gonna be?
I don't know. It really depends
You
on
have
my
to like
research.
see.
I'm gonna have to think
Yeah.
about it because I think that it was written interestingly.
Mhm.
I think it's well written. I think that it's because the thing is I can like I read Bunny by Mona
Mhm.
Awad, and that has a kind of similar thing of like what is going on. There's never really a
Yeah.
true explanation. You have to work out yourself. It's
Mhm.
similar in that aspect, but there was also something a lot more like in your face about Bunny,
Mhm.
whereas this is very like subtle and it feels almost boring. And
Yeah.
yet it was still easy to read. Like it's not boring in a bad way, but just kind of like
Mhm.
going through the motions. So I don't know.
Interesting.
I like because I think
Yeah.
there's a lot of thought that's gone into it. So I'd feel bad to like not have read it in the way that it should be read, but I will
Yeah.
see what happens.
Yeah, I know. Juicy. I can't wait to see like what your final
Yeah,
rating is gonna be.
I'm actually the thing is my initial thought when I started reading this was that I might just do like a video where I sit and just talk about this and like do a
Mhm.
review. Hopefully like no spoilers.
Yeah.
Because it really does like I think that the thing that's interested me the most about this is that I didn't actually read the synopsis, but like what I'd heard from other people really
Mhm.
set up this mental picture of what was going to happen. It just wasn't that at all.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah.
Juicy.
Hello. I always feel really
Hello.
bad when it gets to the end and people like the
I
last
know.
sprint they pop in and I'm like, we're
I
about
know. I'm
to
like,
end
I'm
this.
sorry.
Like I wish I could continue forever. That's always the worst thing is when you get to the end and you're like, I know that
Mhm.
I need to stop it now. I just want to carry on forever.
I know. I literally could do this like honestly
The least is
forever.
excited. I feel
Yes.
like did it say anything about the time frame, like when the movie's gonna be made?
I have no idea, and I don't know if it's confirmed, but
Oh, okay,
I
yeah.
think Justin Baldoni is gonna be the one directing it. He's the one that's in Jane the Virgin.
Yeah.
I think
Didn't he direct something recently as well?
yes, yeah, he directed that 5 Feet Apart movie. That one was also like a book to movie
Oh yeah, I've never
adaptation.
read it or like watched it. I just
Yeah.
like after The Fault in Our Stars, I was like, I'm done with like glamorizing
Yeah, I
sick
don't like that.
teenagers. Like,
Yeah.
ugh.
Yeah, no,
But
I'm like, no thanks. But he did that, and I think he did like he's done like some other stuff that's like
yeah,
smaller.
mm,
But I really like him, and I don't know if that's confirmed or if it's just like they're talking about it. But I think it was like a very recent thing where they said that they were gonna make it into a movie. So it's probably not gonna be a thing till like
yeah.
2023 or something. But um
I swear
yeah.
that's always the case. There's so many books like the Scythe trilogy.
Mhm.
I heard like rumors or like read about there being rumors
Mhm.
of them making, but like literally when the trilogy was first coming out, and now it's still in that
Yeah.
like, so you just never know.
I know sometimes it like takes so long. And I'm like, can you just give me what I want
Yeah,
now, please?
yeah.
Greatly appreciated.
It always ends up being the books that you haven't read that come out like
Mhm.
in like punctually, and then the ones that
Yeah.
you have read, you're waiting around for like ages and ages.
Literally. I'm still
So,
waiting for an Evelyn Hugo like movie or
oh my
show
god.
or
So yeah,
something.
so I think I read, and maybe I thought it myself at some point, that because so Evelyn Hugo is like, is she biracial? I can't remember if she's biracial or if she is like fully something
No,
else.
I think I think she's fully
Oh, so she's
Cuban.
yeah, so she is. I thought she was Hispanic because then
Yeah.
I read somewhere, because I was thinking of someone else, but I can't remember if this is who it was I was personally thinking of because then I forgot. And then I read
Mhm.
somewhere someone saying Anna de Armas would be really good. I
Ooh,
don't know if
she
you the
would
one,
be.
yeah, and
Yes.
because I've only seen her in Knives Out and
Mhm.
the most recent James Bond movie, and they were two different characters, like completely
Mhm.
really different. And I think that she would do really well. And I also
Yeah.
think the aesthetic, like
Yeah.
she's very pretty. So
Yeah, she's really pretty. No, I was gonna say I feel like I could like really see that vibe
yeah,
for sure. Ugh, I'm just so excited. Except you know what? I'm like annoyed that Daisy Jones is gonna be a TV show and then Evelyn Hugo, I think, is supposed to be a movie because I feel like it should be the opposite. I feel like Evelyn Hugo should
yeah,
be a TV
okay,
show
yeah,
because I feel like it would be really cool if like every like husband section would have been like an episode. And
yeah,
then like
exactly,
at
yeah,
the very end, like everything gets kind of like wrapped up, you know?
yeah.
I feel like that would have been so cool. And
But
then
do you
I'm
know,
like,
because yeah, no, definitely, I can see
yeah.
that because at first I was thinking it feels more like just in the fact that it's to do with Hollywood and stuff like that.
Mhm.
You would think a film
Mhm.
naturally, but there's also I don't know if you ever watched Hollywood, the Ryan Murphy Netflix show,
Oh yeah, yeah,
because
I haven't
that's all
watched it.
about Hollywood in the 50s,
Mhm.
and that was done really well, and that was a TV show as well. And I
Yeah.
think in that kind of, I mean, ultimately, if you're doing Hollywood, it kind of always has the same look to
Mhm.
it, but
Mhm.
it would be really visually pleasing if it was kind of like that.
Yeah, I would love that. But I don't care though. I'm like I just want the content.
Yeah,
I'm so excited.
I really like. I almost feel like I want to reread it now. I literally read it like a
Yeah.
couple of months ago, and I'm already like, because it's one of those books that's so easy to read that like I
Mhm.
literally wouldn't even think about it. I just like get through it so quickly.
Yeah, no, I really wanna reread it, especially because I was supposed to reread it with you, and then I just did a
Oh my
terrible
god,
job.
yeah, I forgot about that. There's
Well,
so many books.
I think, like, one of those months that, like, I had said yes to, like, a million buddy reads, and I was so behind on all of my reads, and I was just so
Yeah.
stressed that, like, I've not been doing, like, TBRs recently because 'cause I'm just
Mm.
like, "You know what? I'm just gonna let
Just
myself
go with the flow.
read what I
Just
wanna read."
yeah.
Exactly.
I really want to do a buddy read with you though, because I feel like the only one we've actually done was like the fifth season, if you don't include like the
Yeah.
book club and stuff like
Mhm.
that. Oh, and what's it called?
Jade
The Jade
City.
City and stuff like that. But I
Mhm.
feel like just us two, we haven't actually
I
done
know.
any.
I know, we
But
need to
I also
find
feel like
one, but
I feel like the books we're reading usually don't cross over that much.
yeah, I feel that. We'll have to, like, see, like, if there's, like, a book that, like, one of us knows that the other one's talked about, you know? Then we'll
Yeah.
be like, "Hey, like, let's read this next week or something."
Yeah, that's why it seems so easy because I see like when I scroll through Bookstagram, people being like, "Oh, I've just got this book. Should we read it together?" And I'm like, I never see the books that I
Yeah.
have. It's always like completely different things. So I'm like, okay, I have read that book, but like I
Mhm.
don't need to read it now.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, I
yes.
think just like any of those like old glamorous
Mhm.
Hollywood stars. Like she really is. I think what I like about Evelyn Hugo is that she like has the outwards appearance of what you used to see like in the 50s and the
Mhm.
60s. But because we're sort of from her perspective, you get the kind of character flaws that you wouldn't have seen because obviously back then they wouldn't show any kind of flaws.
Yeah.
Whereas in this, like, she is so clearly like, she's a bit of a bitch, really, like, she's not a great person,
Yeah.
but then you understand, you sympathize with her why she's that way.
Yeah. Well, that's what I love characters that are like that because it's like, yeah, they're
Yeah,
not real. It's realistic. Like they're not
yeah,
this like perfect person. I feel like that's when you start to like connect with characters more
yeah,
because like nobody is perfect. You know what I mean? Like we all have like our flaws or like our things that are like a little bit more like negative traits, you know?
yeah,
That it's like I love like reading about people like that. So I'm like
yeah.
I'm always rooting for the bitch. Like I'm like, yeah, be a bitch. Just don't be a bitch to me.
But I feel like all the things that she did was justifiable anyway, but,
Oh
like,
yeah,
yeah,
100%. 100%. Ugh, I really want to reread it. I think I'm gonna
yeah.
reread it.
When was it? Have you only read it once?
Yeah, I only read it
When was
once.
that?
I 2019, I believe.
Oh, okay, so that's quite a while ago.
Yeah, I read it a while ago. I think I read both that one and Daisy Jones in 2019.
So I read Daisy Jones last year, I think, but I
Mhm.
got it from the library, so I haven't actually
Mhm.
got it physically. But like to be honest, I'm just so happy that I actually own Evelyn Hugo because
Mhm.
it's just when you like I'm always unsure of whether to like try and borrow a book or to physically own it myself.
Mhm.
But then when you're reading it and you know it's going to be a favorite, you're like, oh my god, I'm so happy I bought
Yeah.
it.
I know. I feel like for the most part, I'll tend to like borrow books from the library, and then if I like really, really love it, then I'll like buy it because I want it on my
Mm,
shelves, or if I like have the intention of rereading it at some point, or like I could see myself rereading it at some point,
yeah,
then I'll buy it. But sometimes
yeah,
I buy books, like I have books on my shelf that I'm like, I don't even think I'm ever gonna read this. Like I don't even want to read it.
yeah. See, there's so many books that because last year I was in the UK for a couple of months,
Mhm.
and here I don't go to the library because it's difficult to get there and we barely have any
Mhm.
English books. But I was in the UK, obviously I could go to the library and just get loads of English books. So I read so
Mhm.
many books and a couple of them ended up being favorites and now I'm just sad because I don't own them and I do want
Yeah.
to like buy them and own them, but then I'm also like I can't justify it if I'm not going to read it in the near future, so I'll just have to
Yeah.
wait until I'm going to reread it. And all of those include so basically, all of Riley Sager's books, except from the most recent one, I don't own physically, and I'm like, I
Mhm.
wish I did. And it's like
Yeah.
typically, obviously, it's going to be the one that's like the worst
Yeah.
or at least I like. I personally don't think it's the worst, but
Yeah.
that's a controversial opinion.
Yeah. No, I feel it. I don't even know like how I decide what books I buy. It just depends.
Yeah, and
I don't
sometimes
know.
sometimes I look at my shelves and I'm like, I don't like them. Like I just look at it because when you see people with like 5 bookcases all
Mhm.
full of like really great books that you love and stuff like that and they love
Mhm.
and everything. Sometimes I look at my bookshelves and I'm like, how many of my books that I own do I actually really, really love? Because it looks like it's such a small percentage in comparison to what I've got. I'm like, why do I have all those old YA
Yeah.
books that I really don't like? And I have like barely any of the ones that I actually like.
Yeah, I feel that. I just feel like I just have such a mishmash of books and I have not read like most of them. But then I
Mm,
don't read them. I just continue to like get more books from the library or like Libby audiobooks or ebooks or something and I just never actually read anything on my physical TBR.
I wish I had that problem.
Yeah, it's a whole thing.
Uh, I
Mhm.
see people complaining about having like their TBR being way too big. Like I saw, did you see Steph's TBR video?
Oh my
It was
god,
like
yes.
I
She has
don't.
so many books.
How was it? It was like I can't even remember if I got to the whole end of it because I was doing something else. It must have been like what 300 something like that,
A
or
lot.
was it more than that? I was
It
like,
was just a lot. Yeah.
and then I started watching her most recent wrap up, and then
Mhm.
I was like, ah, that makes sense. If 3 of the books that you read out of 10 were ones you owned, and 7 of them
Yeah.
were ones you borrowed, that's how you ended up with that many books.
Yeah, I know. She like buys so many books and I'm just like I wish I had space for that first of all.
Yeah,
And then I just wish I had money for
Yeah, well,
I'm like, I can't
it's
relate.
that top secret job she's got. Like, there's
I
something,
know.
like, she's rolling in it. Like, and especially because she was describing like where all her different bookcases are. It sounds like her house is like massive. Just like
Yeah.
books everywhere.
Yeah, I'm like, she's literally living the dream.
Mm. I just have to, as I mean, I guess when you're kind of this age, like, there's rarely any 20-year-olds that have loads of money to be able to spend it on
Oh,
what they
yeah.
want anyway. So I'm like, I'll just wait until, like, I don't know, until I'm 30.
Yeah.
And then it's like, but by the time I'm 30, I'll probably end up like having like extra things that I need to pay for anyway. And I was like, oh,
Listen, I did not have any money when I was your age. Like, and I still barely have money, and I'm almost 25, so
mm.
I'm like, it's fine. We're fine here.
But I mean, see, that's the, and then I think, well, to be honest, I made the decision to like be studying for like literally 10 years
Yeah.
where I could have just taken, but then I'm like, I don't know what else I would like, what job I would do. The
Yeah.
concept of like having a job at the age of like 20 something, because there's like even like people go straight out of university. I don't know, how old were
Mhm.
you when you started like working, doing like a 9 to 5 job?
Yeah, I was straight out of university for me. So
It was
like
like
I was
21.
um 20, 21, 22.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay,
that's still
22, I
like,
think.
that's not that far off of how old I am. That's
Yeah.
just so weird to think about.
Yeah.
But
It's
I don't
very
know.
strange. I like miss school sometimes just because it was like,
Seriously?
well, just because it was like so much easier, like just I feel like it was so much easier just like working part-time, not really having to care in the world. My classes weren't really that difficult, and
Okay,
I
fair
like
enough. Yeah,
kind of liked school. So like I don't know, sometimes I just wish I could be back in college. I mean,
fair
like
enough.
working full
Yeah.
time is not like difficult, but it's just like it's boring.
Yeah, no, I like the idea of like with working full time is that you kind of, you have like a very specific, like you're working this amount of hours.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have like extra hours or whatever, but it's kind of
Mhm.
like this idea of knowing what you're doing. Whereas when, like, for me specifically, because there's a lot of like independent learning and stuff like that, I'm just
Mhm.
like in control of a lot of what I do, which I struggle with because I
Yeah.
just end up not doing anything.
Yeah. I feel that. I feel like that would be difficult though,
Yeah.
like that independent kind of learning.
Wow. I feel
Mhm.
like everyone just complains about what they're doing. That's just
It's just
the
life. You
world.
complain about like everything that you don't have.
Yes.
You like you want everything that you don't have.
Yeah. And that's why I like books so much, because when I'm reading a book, I can't really complain about anything
Yes.
else. I'm just like, I'm reading this book. If I'm enjoying it, that's great. If I'm not, then I get to complain, which I enjoy doing
Yeah.
anyway. Like,
100%.
yeah.
I feel that.
Right. I feel like it's time to round these off,
Yes.
even though I would love to continue forever.
I know.
Um,
I'm like, I need to eat something because I'm literally gonna pass out.
I mean, what's the time for you now? Like,
It's like 2:35.
yeah, I was trying to do maths and it just didn't work. Um, it's because I was so used to seeing like the 24-hour clock, and my
Yeah.
computer has the 12-hour clock on it. So I was
Mhm.
like trying to subtract 7. Oh, I don't know. And then, oh, I don't know. That's so weird.
That's
Um,
so funny.
Elisa is
Bye,
leaving. Well, it's
Lisa.
luckily
Thank
we're
you
finishing
so much for
anyway.
hanging
You
out
have,
with us.
I mean, my day is like technically not here anymore, but
I'm like, I still have half my day, so thanks.
yeah. Oh my god, whenever I see, like, if I see sprints or if I'm on sprints with people that are in the US, and like, I'm
Mhm.
just like, I wish that I could like go back in time and just have the start of the day
Yeah.
again. Especially when it's a Sunday. Sunday evenings are
Mhm.
the worst
Yeah,
because it's like, I have to get back into like a routine of
I
like
know.
doing stuff.
I know, I literally hate it so much. I'm like, can I just have, like, another day off?"
Yeah. Right. I'm gonna right, so bye to anyone that's still watching.
Yes.
We hope
Bye.
you got some reading done and had a good time.
Yes.